Chapter 65. Not only was Ma Yan an upper-grade alchemist, but his cultivation level was also quite high. When his cultivation level of the 4th stage of the Dragon-Tiger realm exploded, it was like a tsunami. The majestic aura caused everyone's expression to change. The meridian opening realm opened up the meridians, the true energy realm opened up the sea of Qi, the spirit transformation realm nurtured the true energy realm, and the Dragon-Tiger realm formed the martial seed. It could be said that the Dragon-Tiger realm truly possessed inhuman strength. Every movement could have tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of kilograms of divine strength. Moreover, the true energy in the body formed the martial seed, possessing the power to subdue dragons and tigers. The Dragon-Tiger realm was the combination of the internal and external and the yin and yang. The little yin-yang palm was Ma Yan's famous ultimate skill, and he had already cultivated it to the realm of perfection. When he attacked, wind and thunder rumbled, and his true qi circulated freely. Yin and yang merged, and a huge yin-yang millstone appeared in the void, crushing down towards Ling Xiao. Facing such a huge pressure, Ling Xiao's expression was incomparably calm, but the battle intent in his eyes grew stronger. Roar! A dragon's roar came from Ling Xiao's body. The blood in his body was majestic as if it was boiling and burning. The flood dragon's body exploded, and his entire body was filled with explosive power. Ling Xiao punched out, causing the air to tremble. The majestic true energy rushed into the sky, forming a dazzling fist that contained an aura that could destroy everything. Vajra subduing demon fist. Behind Ling Xiao, the shadow of a Vajra shrouded in golden light seemed to appear. It maintained the posture of punching out and instantly merged with Ling Xiao's figure. This punch was indomitable. This punch was invincible. This punch vowed to destroy everything and create a clear blue sky. Boom! Little yin-yang palm versus Vajra subduing demon fist. The 4th stage of the Dragon-Tiger realm versus the 9th stage of the true energy realm. Ma Yan originally thought that with his Dragon-Tiger realm cultivation, he could easily suppress Ling Xiao. However, when Ling Xiao attacked, he knew that he was wrong. In a daze, he felt that he was not facing a young man, but a peerless supreme who could sweep through and suppress all enemies. That invincible aura made his heart tremble. Boom! King Kong punched out with a furious glare. The huge yin-yang millstone that originally looked extraordinary was actually smashed to pieces by Ling Xiao's punch. The vast and unparalleled Vajra fist will erupted and swept across the sky like a huge wave. Ma Yan was actually sent flying by the fist force for more than 100 feet. Some of his qi and blood were in turmoil, and his eyes were filled with extreme shock. This is Fist Dao concept. Furthermore, it's definitely an earth-level martial art that can emit such a pure concept. The longevity sect can't possibly have such a martial art. Ma Yan was shocked and angry at the same time. There was even a hint of greed in his eyes. How could a martial art that could allow Ling Xiao, who was at the 9th level of the true energy realm, to easily defeat someone at the Dragon-Tiger realm be so simple? This fist art was at least an earth-grade high-grade martial art, or even a peerless earth-grade martial art. If he could obtain this kind of martial art, what was the Grandmaster realm to him? He might even be able to take a peek at the legendary celestial realm. Brat, hand over the fist technique you've been practicing, and I'll spare your life. Ma Yan lowered his voice and said greedily. You want my fist technique martial arts? Let's see if you're still alive to take it. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold, and there was a hint of mockery in them. You're courting death. Ma Yan's eyes were cold, and his killing intent was overflowing. He pulled out a long sword from his waist, and with a bright flash of spiritual light, he pierced towards Ling Xiao. This was an upper-grade spiritual weapon. Ma Yan knew that if he fought empty-handed, it would be difficult for him to defeat Ling Xiao easily. Therefore, he was prepared to use the power of the spiritual weapon to capture Ling Xiao as soon as possible and interrogate him about the fist technique. The sword radiance was dazzling, and it spanned over 100 feet. Streaks of sword qi shrouded the void and fell towards Ling Xiao's head. Ma Yan was using a peerless black-grade martial art, Heavenly Star Swordplay. The sword was like a shooting star, and its speed was extremely fast. In addition to the power of the spiritual weapon, Ma Yan was confident that he could kill an elite at the 5th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. Swordplay. Even if it's a swordplay, you won't be able to defeat me. Ling Xiao said coldly. Ma Yan's attainment in the Heavenly Star Swordplay was not as good as the little Yinyang Palm, and he had only reached the Great Accomplishment realm. Although the sword chi was unparalleled and magnificent, in Ling Xiao's eyes, it was full of flaws. Swoosh! The azure ice sword on Ling Xiao's back soared into the sky. This was the upper-grade spiritual weapon that he had taken from Lin Haoyu. Its quality was excellent, and Ling Xiao was able to use it easily. He struck out with the sword, and immediately, the sword was filled with flowing light. Genuine chi gathered on the spiritual sword, and it turned into 7 dazzling stars that pierced towards Ma Yan. 7 stars in one sword. This was the 7 stars transforming moon sword, and in Ling Xiao's hands, it had reached the Great Accomplishment realm easily. Although Ling Xiao's sword was not as majestic as Ma Yan's, and his genuine chi was not as strong as Ma Yan's, this sword was exquisite. It was like a flying immortal, and it did not seem like a sword of the mortal world. Clang clang clang. The 2 spiritual swords collided, and sparks flew everywhere. The azure ice sword in Ling Xiao's hand seemed to have grown eyes, and the 7 stars pierced towards the weak points of Ma Yan's swordplay. In an instant, it broke through the layers of defense and pierced towards Ma Yan's vital points. This is the 7 stars transforming moon sword. How could you have reached the Great Accomplishment realm? Ma Yan exclaimed, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Moreover, this sword had scared him out of his wits, and he hurriedly blocked the azure ice sword in Ling Xiao's hand. Sizzle! A few holes appeared on his long robe, and his skin was slightly bleeding. If he had not dodged quickly, he would have been cut open by Ling Xiao's sword. The battle between Ma Yan and Ling Xiao had only lasted for a few breaths, but it was already filled with danger. Ma Yan felt extremely uncomfortable. If it weren't for the fact that his cultivation was higher than Ling Xiao's and that his true chi was denser than Ling Xiao's, he would have been defeated and killed in one move. After dozens of moves, Ma Yan felt a little scared. On the other hand, Ling Xiao was getting more and more casual, and every move he made Ma Yan feel extremely embarrassed. This kid is too strange. I must kill him. Otherwise, when he grows up, it will be the end of my He Huan sect. Killing intent flashed in Ma Yan's eyes. The more monstrous Ling Xiao was, the more he feared him. With my current combat strength, I can defeat or even kill anyone below the 7th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. As for those above the 7th level of the Dragon Tiger realm, I should be able to fight them to a draw. However, in a battle of attrition, those above the 7th level of the Dragon Tiger realm will definitely die. However, I am no match for those in the Grandmaster realm. After the battle with Ma Yan, Ling Xiao was able to directly measure his current combat strength. I don't want to play with you anymore. Elder Ma, go and accompany your grandson. A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, and the sword chi in the sky changed. Boom! The air trembled slightly as the azure ice sword in Ling Xiao's hand emitted rays of multicolored light. 7 resplendent stars shot up into the sky, finally forming a bright and clear full moon behind him. It was so vast and lustrous that one could not look at it directly. Chapter 66. That was not a full moon, but a solid sword ray formed by the condensation of countless sword rays. It was dazzling and contained an unparalleled sword intent. Full moon sword intent? That's the full moon sword intent. Ma Yan roared in shock. It was said that Nangong Xian was the only one who had comprehended the full moon sword intent of the Changshan sect, but Ling Xiao had comprehended it. Ling Xiao no longer shocked him. He even felt a trace of fear and regret in his heart. Die! Ling Xiao said indifferently. As he swung his sword, it was like a fairy dancing in the moon palace. The dazzling sword ray accompanied by the bright full moon flew toward Ma Yan. Thus, everyone saw such a strange scene. In the middle of the clear sky, a bright full moon slowly descended towards Ma Yan, and then an unparalleled sword light suddenly erupted. Boom! Like a storm, Ma Yan was enveloped by the dazzling sword ray before he could react. The full moon shook and a gale blew. The surrounding mountains, rocks, and plants all exploded. This sword intent seemed to have enveloped an area of 10 zhang, causing the swords on the backs of the all-pleasure sect and demonic palace disciples to hum and vibrate. Pft! Pft! In the void, Ma Yan screamed miserably. Blood mist filled the air. His whole body seemed to have been cut into pieces. His screams made the surrounding people's faces change drastically. They felt their scalps go numb. In the end, when the sword chi dissipated, Ma Yan fell from the sky. His body was a bloody mess and his breath was extremely weak. He was on the verge of death. Ma Yan's true Kang armor was able to block most of the sword chi with his dragon and tiger realm cultivation. If he was a spirit transformation realm cultivator, he would have been reduced to ashes by this sword attack. The power of this sword was too great. All the disciples of the Hehuan sect and demonic palace looked as if they had seen a ghost. Their faces were pale as they stared at Ling Xiao with disbelief. They originally thought that no matter how talented Ling Xiao was, Ma Yan would be able to defeat him. However, they did not expect Ling Shi to be so monstrous. He was only at True Energy Realm Stage 9, but he was able to defeat Ma Yan, who was at Dragon Tiger Realm Stage 4. Was he still human? And at that moment, the demonic palace's elder who was fighting against the spirit stone elder also noticed the situation on the other side. In shock, he was sent flying by the spirit stone elder's palm strike and spat out a mouthful of blood. When Elder Spirit Stone saw the scene before him, he was also shocked. Even though he had already overestimated Ling Xiao, he now realized that this holy son of the Changxing sect was far more monstrous than he had imagined. With such a saint child, why would Changxing sect not be able to revive? He could not let anything happen to the saint, even if he had to lose his life. Spirit Stone's elder's eyes flashed with determination as he secretly made up his mind. Wu, as for the elder of the demonic palace, a trace of fear flashed through his eyes. He clenched his teeth and took out a conch-like object. He placed it by his mouth and blew into it. The conch seemed to emit a strange sound wave that spread in all directions and spread into the mine. Not good, you're courting death. Elder Spirit Stone's elder's expression changed. He knew that the elder of the demonic palace was calling for reinforcements. He immediately roared in anger and sent a palm strike towards him. The two masters from the Hehuan sect and the demonic palace, as well as a large number of Dragon Tiger realm experts, should be breaking the array in the mine. They probably had no time to spare at the crucial moment, so only Ma Yan and the elder of the demonic palace came out. However, they did not expect to meet such a strong opponent. The two of them had no way of taking down Ling Xiao and Elder Spirit Stones. Under the conch's call, reinforcements would probably arrive soon. Ha ha ha. Ling Xiao, you're definitely going to die this time. No one can save you. I'll wait for you underground. Hearing the conch sound, Ma Yan, who was lying on the ground on the verge of death, looked at Ling Xiao with a venomous gaze and laughed maniacally. Then you can go and die first. A cold glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. The azure ice sword slashed down from the void, and a dazzling sword chi cut off Ma Yan's head. A mist of blood sprayed out, and the void was filled with a thick smell of blood. He actually killed Elder Ma. He's a demon. Ah, the disciples of the Hehuan sect and the demonic palace were all scared out of their wits by Ling Xiao. They all cried out in fear and fled into the distance. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. A furious voice exploded as a handsome middle-aged man rushed out of the mine. His aura was unparalleled, and his eyes were filled with rage and burning killing intent. Lu Guanjie, the vice sect leader of the Hehuan sect. After hearing the conch sound, he disregarded everything and rushed out of the mine. He was just in time to see Ling Xiao chopping off Ma Yan's head with a sword. Ma Yan was not only an elder of the Hehuan sect, but he was also the only upper-grade alchemist in the sect. How could he be killed by Ling Xiao just like that? Lu Guanjie was so angry that his entire body trembled. The killing intent in his eyes was undisguised, and it landed on Ling Xiao as if it was real. He rushed out of the mine at an extremely fast speed. The clouds in the sky rolled back, and his violent true qi shot towards Ling Xiao like steel needles. At the same time, the two elders of the Dragon Tiger realm who came with Lu Guanjie also looked extremely cold. One on the left and one on the right, completely sealing off Ling Xiao's escape route. A huge palm print came crashing down on Ling Xiao. One Grandmaster and two Dragon Tiger realm elders. In an instant, Ling Xiao was in an extremely dangerous situation. If it were only the two elders of the Dragon Tiger realm, it would be fine. However, Ling Xiao's current cultivation was too weak after all. He was far from being a match for a Grandmaster. Moreover, Lu Guanjie's angry attack contained unparalleled innate true Kang. This palm print could shatter steel plates and shatter rocks. If it hit Ling Xiao's body, he would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. Boom! In such a dangerous moment, Ling Xiao's gaze was still incomparably calm. His feet flashed, and his entire body moved like a stream of light. He activated the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique to the extreme. At the same time, the Vajra exorcism fist burst out. Unparalleled fist force condensed on Ling Xiao's fists, and then he fiercely punched towards the two elders of the Dragon Tiger realm. The Vajra fist intent was vast and unparalleled. Ling Xiao faced the two Dragon Tiger realm powerhouses alone. The unparalleled fist force exploded, and his entire body trembled as he was sent flying. With the strength of this blow, Ling Xiao slightly widened the distance between him and Lu Guanjie. Although he was still within the range of Lu Guanjie's Grandmaster power, it gave Ling Xiao a chance to react. Dragon Storm's superpower, explode for me. Chapter 67. Boom! Ling Xiao stared into Lu Guanjie's eyes and punched out. The power of the burning dragon's blood made him feel as though he could pierce through heaven and earth. The Vajra fist intent exploded. The flood dragon body exploded. The heaven-devouring secret skill exploded. Ling Xiao was prepared to take Lu Guanjie's attack head-on. This was his only chance of survival. A bright golden glow enveloped Ling Xiao's entire body, making him look like an invincible Vajra. His fist intent was vast and powerful, as though it could destroy heaven and earth. He took on a master head-on. However, at this moment, a figure appeared in front of Lu Guanjie at an even faster speed. Lu Guanjie was stunned. Ling Xiao was also stunned. However, how could a master's angry attack be so easy to take? The protective aura around the figure collapsed in an instant, and then an unparalleled force slammed into him, causing him to vomit blood. He was instantly blown over 100 meters away and heavily smashed into the ground in the distance. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Ling Xiao's eyes turned red. Elder Spirit sure. Ling Xiao roared. His voice was filled with incomparable rage and killing intent. He had never thought that Elder Spirit stones would block the fatal blow for him at this critical moment. However, he could take this blow himself. At most, he would be injured. Why was Elder Spirit sure so foolish? Ling Xiao recklessly rushed over and helped Spirit Stone Elder up. Then, he took out a large number of spirit pills and stuffed them into Spirit Stone Elder's mouth. However, Elder Spirit Sure's breathing was extremely weak. He spat out mouthfuls of blood. How could he swallow the elixirs? Saint! I can't take it anymore. You, don't waste the elixirs, save me. You, leave quickly, you must, take care, in the future, the Changsen sect, depends, on you. Elder Spirit Stone spat out a mouthful of blood and said in a muffled voice. His eyes revealed a kind and expectant look. Lu Guanjie's strike had already shattered his internal organs into powder and cut off his life force. Even a god would find it difficult to save him. I promise you. Elder Spirit Stones, don't worry, Longevity Sect will rise again and step onto the peak, restoring the glory of 10,000 years ago. Ling Xiao's arms trembled as he nodded heavily. His eyes were red as he spoke. Good. Good. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see it. A look of yearning flashed in the eyes of the Spirit Stone's elder. Then, his eyes dimmed and he died. The rise of the Longevity Sect? What wishful thinking. After I kill you, I will destroy Changsun Sect. Lu Guanjie said coldly as he walked towards Ling Xiao. His murderous intent enveloped Ling Xiao. All of you must die. Not only you, but all Pleasure Sect and Demonic Palace will also be buried with Elder Ling Shi. Kill. 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 Ling Xiao abruptly raised his head. His eyes were incomparably scarlet, and the blazing killing intent was almost tangible. Little bastard, you had Lu Xiongfei and Jiao Mu backing you up last time. Let's see who can save you today. Die. Lu Guanjie's heart trembled. Looking into Ling Xiao's eyes, he didn't know why, but he actually felt his heart palpitate, increasing his determination to kill Ling Xiao. Boom! Lu Guanjie leaped forward at an extremely fast speed. The innate true qi around his body was like a sword radiance. With a palm strike, the yin-yang millstone in the void pressed down like an endless wave towards Ling Xiao. This was an evolved Jing master. Using his own strength to comprehend the power of heaven and earth, he had meticulous control over his own strength. His attack was like a thunderbolt, killing with a single strike. However, Ling Xiao had already pulled away from him. Only a dragon's roar could be heard. Roar! Using the Cloud Dragon 9 emergence technique together with the Ancestral Dragon secret technique, Ling Xiao kept the corpse of Elder Ling Shi into the scroll. Then, he leaped into the sky like a ray of light. With extreme speed, he flew in the opposite direction of Lu Guanjie. Lu Guanjie's face instantly changed. Ling Xiao, are you courting death? Ling Xiao wasn't running away. Instead, he was charging towards the disciples of All Pleasure Sect and Demonic Palace. Pooh! The azure ice sword was like a ray of light as it pierced through the chest of an All Pleasure Sect disciple, causing a mist of blood to splatter. However, Ling Xiao didn't stop at all. With a cold expression, he punched another disciple of Demonic Palace, causing him to explode into a mist of blood. The flood dragon body had completely exploded. Ling Xiao's current physical strength was unparalleled. It was much stronger than the Dragon Tiger realm. Coupled with the invincible fist force of the Vajra subduing Devil Fist, no one was a match for him. The disciples of All Pleasure Sect and Demonic Palace were almost scared out of their wits by Ling Xiao. Their faces were pale as they fled in all directions with fear in their eyes. Screams of agony resounded throughout the entire spiritual stone mine. Don't be anxious. It will be your turn soon. Ling Xiao looked coldly at Lu Guanjie and the others. He had activated the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique to the extreme. His entire body was hidden in the clouds like a flood dragon. Even Lu Guanjie and the 3 Dragon Tiger realm elites couldn't stop Ling Xiao. Seeing a large number of disciples die tragically, Lu Guanjie was so angry that he cried out loudly. Ling Xiao was like a slippery loach. Not only did he exchange a few blows with the 3 Dragon Tiger realm elites, but he also killed a large number of disciples from the 2 sections. However, Lu Guanjie couldn't catch up to Ling Xiao's Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique. He could only follow behind him and eat dirt. Ling Xiao, I'm going to make you beg for death. Lu Guanjie roared angrily. The power of the Grandmaster realm was completely released. The innate true Kang around him was like a sword, covering a radius of 10 feet. At the same time, he slammed his palm down on Ling Xiao. The yin-yang millstone rotated life and death. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't choose to dodge. Instead, he activated all the strength in his body and used the Vajra subduing Devil Fist to attack Lu Guanjie. He wanted to see how big the gap was between himself and a Grandmaster Realm elite. Boom! The void shook violently as the Vajra force and yin-yang millstone exploded at the same time. Ling Xiao only felt an unparalleled divine power surging through his arm and into his organs, causing him to feel a sweet taste in his throat as he flew back more than 100 feet. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Ling Xiao suppressed the blood in his mouth. His gaze was incomparably sharp. The azure ice sword in his hand was like the god of death. With a swing of his sword, 7 stars gathered and turned into a resplendent full moon. Then, it exploded in the middle of the heavenly demon palace and Hehuan sect disciples. Immediately, a few disciples didn't even have time to scream before they turned into a mist of blood. Miserable cries sounded continuously. It was like purgatory on earth. Ling Xiao didn't hesitate at all. In a flash, he entered the abandoned mine. Chapter 68. Just you wait. The next time we meet, it will be the day when the Hehuan sect and demonic palace are annihilated. Ling Xiao glanced coldly at Lu Guanjie, then disappeared into the abandoned mine. Chase after him. You must kill him. Lu Guanjie and the 3 elders flew into a rage. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen disciples from the 2 sects were either dead or injured. Not a single one of them was able to stand there unscathed. Inside the spirit stone mine, flesh and blood were flying everywhere. Broken limbs were everywhere. It was like hell. Miserable howls could be heard everywhere. Lu Guanjie felt as if his heart was bleeding. These were all true disciples of the all-pleasure sect. It took a great deal of effort to nurture even one of them. He didn't expect that Ling Xiao would kill them all as if they were vegetables. His eyes were bloodshot. His hatred for Ling Xiao had reached the extreme. Without needing Lu Guanjie to say anything, 2 elders of the Hehuan sect and 1 elder of the demonic palace rushed into the abandoned mine. Lu Guanjie thought for a moment and gave up on breaking the restriction of the Immortal's Cave. Instead, he chased Ling Xiao into the abandoned mine. Although Lu Guanjie had only caught a glimpse of the martial arts that Ling Xiao had just displayed, he could tell that they were definitely not ordinary. They were at least Earth-grade martial arts and above. There was definitely something wrong with this kid. If he could capture him and interrogate him, Lu Guanjie had a premonition that his harvest would be even greater than in the Immortal's Cave. In addition, he hated Ling Xiao to the core. Naturally, he chased after him without caring about anything else. After Ling Xiao rushed into the abandoned mine, the tunnels in the mine extended in all directions. It was very complicated. Ling Xiao took a few turns and rushed through several tunnels. He began to restrain his aura. At the same time, he took out various spiritual medicines from the scroll and smeared them on his body to dissolve the smell of blood. Although Ling Xiao was confident that he could hide from a dragon-tiger realm expert, it was different when facing a grandmaster. In the Grandmaster realm, one could comprehend the power of the Xiantian realm, the combination of qi and spirit, and the connection between heaven and man. He had gradually comprehended the magical use of mental strength. He could lock onto a person's aura. It was very powerful. Ling Xiao didn't think that it would be so easy to escape Lu Guanjie's pursuit in this abandoned mine. There was a reason why Ling Xiao chose to escape into the abandoned mine instead of leaving the Spirit Stone mine. If he directly left the Spirit Stone mine, regardless of whether Ling Xiao could escape Lu Guanjie's pursuit, the Great Elder, Nangong Qing, and the other disciples would be in danger. Lu Guanjie was obviously not an ordinary Master Realm expert. The first elder had just stabilized his Master Realm cultivation, so he was definitely not a match for Lu Guanjie. When Ling Xiao escaped into the abandoned mine, he saw that the tunnels were complicated and extended in all directions. Some of them were even connected to the underground river. If he could find the underground river, he would naturally be able to escape with his life. PFFF, Ling Xiao continued to fly forward, but he still spat out a mouthful of blood. The injuries that he had been suppressing earlier had erupted. Grandmaster! Grandmaster! If I can't become an evolved Jing Master, I'll still be an ant. My cultivation is still too weak. There's no way I can fight against an evolved Jing master. Ling Xiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, took out a healing elixir and swallowed it. At the same time, he activated the sky-devouring secret skill. The sky-devouring spirit seed continued to devour the surrounding spiritual qi of heaven and earth, and began to slowly heal Ling Xiao's internal injuries. Just now, Ling Xiao's internal organs were injured by Lu Guanjie's innate true gang. Although the flood dragon's body gave Ling Xiao an unparalleled physical strength, the strength only stayed in his muscles and meridians, and did not go deep into his internal organs, so Ling Xiao's internal organs were still very fragile. A Grandmaster realm expert could control his own strength to the smallest detail, and could mobilize the energy of heaven and earth. The innate true Kang in the body was even more domineering. Even if Lu Guanjie was only using a black-level martial art, he could still erupt the power of an earth-level martial art. On the contrary, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the 9th level of the true energy realm. The gap was still too big. Even if the ancestral dragon secret skill and the sky-devouring secret skill were used together, the gap between the realms could not be closed. The gap between the Grandmaster realm and the Dragon Tiger realm was huge. It was like the gap between an adult man and a baby, not to mention that Ling Xiao had not even reached the Dragon Tiger realm. Only when one reached the Grandmaster realm could he establish his own sect and become a Grandmaster. Ling Xiao dashed forward in the abandoned mine, but he could still feel that Lu Guanjie was not far behind him. No, if this continues, I might really be found by him. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. The mine was so dark that he could not see his own fingers. Ling Xiao's aura had been completely concealed, and the smell of blood had been mostly cleared. However, Lu Guanjie was still able to follow him, which showed how terrifying a Grandmaster was. At this moment, Ling Xiao's mental strength acutely sensed a strange fluctuation. The power of a restriction. Could it be that I'm near the Immortal's Cave? Ling Xiao's gaze moved. He could faintly feel a strong restriction aura coming from not far ahead, and that aura was somewhat familiar. Ling Xiao immediately thought of the Immortal's Cave. One had to know that this abandoned mine was connected to another mine. Even the longevity sect disciples who used to mine spiritual stones could not find out the situation in the mine. After all, this spiritual stone mine had existed for many years. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao would actually arrive in the vicinity of that Deva's abode by chance? Since it's the Immortal's Cave, there might be some means that can threaten a Grandmaster. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Without hesitation, he headed in the direction of the restriction. Ling Xiao's aura was completely retracted, and he used the Cloud Dragon 9 emergence technique. His entire person was like a moving rock, without any signs of life. Very quickly, he saw the end of the tunnel. There was a faint light coming from there, and there was a sound. Ling Xiao walked over carefully and looked outside through the stone wall of the tunnel. It was a huge underground cave, and there were a few huge luminous pearls carved on the ceiling, illuminating the entire underground cave. In the north of the cave, there was a bright light screen, with 3 colors lingering around it, emitting a strong restriction aura. A black-robed Grandmaster and a few Dragon Tiger realm powerhouses were attacking the light screen fiercely. That light screen must be the Immortal's Cave. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered, and his sharp mental strength spread out. He actually felt an extremely familiar aura from the light screen. Tripartite Spirit Sealing Array. This Immortal's Cave was left behind by the Longevity Sect's powerhouses. Ling Xiao could immediately tell that the bright light screen restriction was the Longevity Sect's Tripartite Spirit Sealing Array. However, it was said that the Tripartite Spirit Sealing Array had been lost a few hundred years ago. So this Immortal's Cave was left behind by the Longevity Sect's powerhouses a few hundred years ago. They must have encountered some dangerous situation and did not have time to inform the Longevity Sect. Chapter 69. Boom! The black-robed Grandmaster and a few elders of the Dragon and Tiger realm landed their powerful attacks on the light screen, causing it to tremble violently as if it would shatter at any moment. However, in Ling Zhao's opinion, the tripartite spirit sealing formation was extremely sturdy. Only a little bit of spiritual energy had been used up. At this rate, it would take at least 10 days to half a month to break the formation. The tripartite spirit sealing array used the power of heaven, earth, and man to gather endless energy to form a great array. Moreover, the tripartite spirit sealing array here was laid down by a heaven-tier expert. Moreover, it used the spirit stones within the spirit stone mine as the source of power. As long as the spirit stone mine did not dry up, the tripartite spirit sealing array would be able to operate forever. This was also why the tripartite spirit sealing formation was still so powerful even after hundreds of years in the celestial realm cave abode. Ling Zhao could also see that the tripartite spirit sealing formation was extraordinary. The celestial realm master who set up the formation must have touched upon the willpower of the noble realm. To break the tripartite spirit sealing formation, one must find the eye of the formation of heaven, earth, and man. Only by breaking the eye of the formation at the same time can the formation be broken. With their random attacks, there is no way they can break the formation. However, the person who set up the formation must be an outstanding person. There must be a lot of good stuff in his cave abode. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered, revealing a look of anticipation. However, to enter the cave abode, he would have to alert the people who were attacking the light screen. A Grand Master from the Sky Devil Palace and 6 Dragon and Tiger Realm Masters. There is still a chance. Ling Zhao muttered. At this moment, he felt that Lu Guanjie and the others who were chasing him were getting closer and closer. If he did not act now and waited for Lu Guanjie to arrive, Ling Zhao would be surrounded. He would not be able to escape even if he wanted to. Let's do it. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed coldly. He poured all his innate qi into his legs and activated the Cloud Dragon 9 changes. With a tap of his feet, he shot towards the center of the cave like a ray of light. Who is it? Almost as soon as Ling Zhao started to move, the Grand Master of the Sky Devil Palace, Guang, the Deputy Palace Master, noticed Ling Zhao. People from the Changsun sect. A mere LV9 True Energy Realm martial artist dares to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. You're courting death. Guang looked at Ling Zhao coldly. He saw that Ling Zhao was wearing the Changsun sect's uniform. He laughed coldly and slapped out mercilessly. Although it was just a casual palm strike, the innate true qi exploded and shot out like countless steel needles. The powerful force gathered together and was about to kill Ling Zhao on the spot. If it had been an ordinary true qi realm expert, they would have had no choice but to nurse their grievances in the face of this palm strike. However, he was facing Ling Zhao. The wind from the palm surged, and the force shattered rocks. This palm strike was enough to shatter metal and rock. However, Ling Zhao's expression was extremely calm. Facing this unavoidable palm strike, he began to spin in the air like a top. Boom! When the innate true Kang landed on Ling Zhao's body, it instantly disintegrated. Most of the innate true Kang palm force was neutralized by Ling Zhao's ingenious strength and shot towards the 6 elders of the Dragon Tiger realm who were eyeing them covetously. As for the remaining true Kang palm, it was destroyed by Ling Zhao's heaven-devouring spiritual seed and turned into pure energy that was absorbed into his qi seed. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The true Kang palm force that shot towards the elders of the Dragon Tiger realm was extremely sharp, causing the 6 elders to scramble to dodge. At this moment, a gap appeared between the tripartite spirit sealing formation and Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao's speed suddenly increased, and he shot towards the tripartite spirit sealing formation. What? Not good, stop him quickly. Guang's face revealed a trace of shock. He did not think that a mere kid in the true energy realm would be able to block his palm strike unscathed. At this moment, seeing Ling Zhao rushing towards the tripartite spirit sealing formation, he suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart and hurriedly yelled out. Boom! Ling Zhao's speed was fast, but Guang and the 6 elders of the Dragon Tiger realm attacked even faster. Guang's entire body was filled with demonic qi, and a cold and dark aura gushed out from his palm. It turned into a huge black divine light that shot towards Ling Xiao at extreme speed. The 6 elders also attacked at the same time. True Qi filled the void, and the sky was filled with huge fist and palm prints. Wrapped in an unparalleled divine power, they wanted to kill Ling Xiao with their palms. Ling Xiao seemed to have expected all of this, and a trace of mockery appeared at the corner of his mouth. His body shifted to the side at an unbelievable angle by 1 foot. Boom! 7 powerful attacks landed on the light screen, causing the tripartite spirit ceiling formation to tremble violently again. Stop him! You must not let him escape. He is the holy son of the Changxing sect, Ling Xiao. The spirit transformation stage disciples of the Hehuan sect and the demonic palace all died at his hands. At this moment, a furious roar was heard. Lu Guanjie rushed out of the passageway with 3 dragon tiger realm elders. What? He is Ling Xiao. Guang and the rest were both shocked and furious, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. This incomparably delicate-looking youth, whose cultivation was only at the true Qi realm, had actually killed so many spirit transformation stage disciples. When the people of the demonic palace heard that the Changxing sect had produced a monstrous holy son, Ling Xiao, who was able to kill spirit transformation stage disciples at the true Qi realm, they did not take it seriously. They thought that the all-pleasure sect was exaggerating, but now it seemed that this kid was incomparably strange. The deaths and injuries of the spirit transformation realm disciples of our 2 sects were all caused by him alone. Even Elder Mayan died by his hands. Lu Guanjie said while gnashing his teeth. His eyes were filled with blazing killing intent. Elder Mayan is also dead? Guang exclaimed, and his body trembled violently. Mayan was at the 4th level of the Dragon Tiger realm, and he was actually killed by this kid? He must kill this kid, or else the all-pleasure sect and the demonic palace will never have a day of peace. Endless killing intent and fear surged in Guang's heart. Once this monstrous genius matured, who would be able to stop his footsteps? The all-pleasure sect and the demonic palace would probably become his stepping stones. Since they had already thoroughly offended him, they might as well kill him completely and eliminate all future troubles. Lu Guanjie, Guang, and the 9 Dragon Tiger Realm elders faintly formed an encirclement and surrounded Ling Xiao. Kid, let's see where you can run to. When I catch you, I'll crush every bone in your body inch by inch. Let's see if you still dare to be arrogant then. Lu Guanjie's cold gaze landed on Ling Xiao as he spoke with killing intent. Run? Why should I run? Chapter 70. Do you know why I barged into this place? Do you really think I'm here to seek my own death? Ling Xiao smiled with a hint of mockery in his eyes. At this moment, he was standing in front of the light screen, just a step away from the light screen behind him. Oh no, stop him. A bad premonition flashed through Guang's heart. He thought of how Ling Xiao had rushed towards the light curtain at all costs. His expression changed immediately, and he pounced on Ling Xiao. It's too late. The next time we meet will be the end of the Hehuan sect and Sky Demon Palace. Ling Xiao grinned, but his eyes were filled with a cold light. He took a light step backward, and his entire body seemed to have fused into the light screen, disappearing in an instant. Boom! Guang's ferocious attack missed and directly hit the light screen, causing the light screen to vibrate violently again. Damn it! How could he enter the restrictive shield? Guang, Lu Guanjie, and the rest were completely stunned. Their faces were pale and they looked terrible. They worked so hard and secretly imprisoned the people from the Changxing sect just for this immortal's cave abode. However, they couldn't break the restrictive shield even after attacking for 3 days. Yet, Ling Xiao walked in just like that. Guang and Lu Guanjie were going crazy. Rumble. They continued to attack the light screen fiercely, but the light screen shook violently as if it was going to break at any moment. However, they couldn't break it. Continue attacking. Once we break open the restriction and capture that little bastard Ling Xiao, I'll definitely make him beg for death. Guang gritted his teeth and said. He felt like he was fooled and was furious. Lu Guanjie was even more furious. He attacked the light screen fiercely without saying a word. His eyes shone with frightening coldness. Rumble. 2 grandmasters and 9 Longhu realm experts began to attack the tripartite spirit sealing formation with all their might. At this moment, Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief after entering the tripartite spirit sealing formation. The tripartite spirit sealing formation had an extremely strong defensive power. It used the power of heaven, earth, and man to limit the changes of the formation. However, this tripartite spirit sealing formation was passed down by Jin Sei, so Ling Xiao was naturally very familiar with it. As long as one grasped the key and found the moment when heaven, earth, and man changed, and supported the corresponding steps, one would be able to enter the tripartite spirit sealing array. This was also the reason why the celestial tier elite had laid down the tripartite spirit sealing formation. If it was a disciple of the longevity sect who had grasped the mysteries within, he would naturally be able to enter and obtain the inheritance. If one wasn't a disciple of the Changsun sect, they wouldn't even be able to enter. Behind the tripartite spirit sealing array was an ancient cave. The ground was covered in dust, and the surrounding stone walls were very dry. There was a faint warm aura coming from them. Walking further in, there were 3 stone rooms. They looked very simple and crude. They were hastily built and the walls were uneven. In the innermost stone room, there was a corpse sitting cross-legged. However, after a few hundred years, the flesh had completely rotted away, leaving only a white skeleton. In front of the skeleton, there was a praying mat. There were a few lines of sharp handwriting on a rock beside it. Members of the longevity sect, kowtow 1,000 times. If you join my sect, you won't regret it even if you die 100 times. The 16 large words were like dragons. They were like iron hooks and silver strokes, emitting traces of chilling sword intent. Kowtow 1,000 times? You dare to ask me, Ling Xiao, to kowtow to you? You really have guts. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a smile. With his strong mental strength, he easily discovered that there was a piece of beast skin hidden in the praying mat. Qi. Ling Xiao pointed his finger and an invisible sword qi shot out. The praying mat instantly broke apart, revealing the beast skin scroll within. The beast skin scroll looked very sturdy. Ling Xiao didn't know what kind of ferocious beast it was, but it didn't break even after a few hundred years. Ling Xiao opened the beast skin scroll and saw that it was filled with tiny words. I am the 93rd generation sect leader of the longevity sect, Taoist Tianfeng. Because the Wan Shou sect coveted our sect's martial arts, a traitor appeared in the sect, causing the Wan Shou sect to kill countless disciples of the longevity sect. Although I fought bravely, I was no match for them and was heavily injured. After Ling Xiao finished reading the contents of the beast skin scroll, he gradually understood the identity of the skeleton. The 93rd generation sect leader, Taoist Tianfeng. If I remember correctly, it should be 500 years ago. At that time, the longevity sect wasn't as weak as it is now. It wasn't any weaker than the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom. However, there was a huge change. Later on, countless martial arts were lost and the longevity sect declined to this extent. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he recalled the records of the longevity sect from 500 years ago. It turned out that the Wan Shou sect coveted the longevity sect's martial arts, resulting in the battle 500 years ago. At that time, a traitor appeared in the longevity sect and in the end, the longevity sect was almost annihilated. All the records of the battle from 500 years ago were only a few words, and they were not detailed. The Wan Shou sect. Damn it! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with killing intent. The current Wan Shou sect was above the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom and was on par with the Sun Moon Star sect. It was far from what Ling Xiao could contend with now. However, Ling Xiao would remember this blood feud. 500 years ago, Taoist Tianfeng was hunted down by the experts of the Wan Shou sect. Although he escaped in the end, he was severely injured and died in this spiritual stone mine. Don't worry, I will settle this score with the Wanshou sect sooner or later. Ling Xiao looked at the skeleton in front of him and said slowly. It had to be said that the sect leader of the longevity sect had fallen to such a state. It was really sad. Finally, Ling Xiao's gaze landed on a metal ring on the skeleton's right finger. If one did not look carefully, there was no way to discover that metal ring. That metal ring was too ordinary and had merged with the finger bone. However, Ling Xiao saw two mysterious ancient words on the metal hoop. Longevity. Longevity ring. I didn't expect the longevity ring to be left here. Ling Xiao sighed softly and gently removed the metal ring from the finger bone. There was a trace of nostalgia in his eyes. The longevity ring was the symbol of the leader of the Changsun sect. 10,000 years ago, the Changsun sect reigned supreme under the heavens, looking down on the 8 barren lands. Ling Xiao had personally forged this longevity ring as a symbol of the leader of the Changsun sect. The longevity ring was a top-tier supreme artifact. Compared to the legendary divine artifacts, it was only slightly weaker. Ling Xiao had refined a spatial fragment into the longevity ring. It contained millions of miles of space and had its own laws. It could allow living beings to live in it. It could contain immemorial sacred mountains and ancient rivers. Moreover, the longevity ring had both offensive and defensive capabilities. Ling Xiao had refined it into 81 layers of sovereign formations. Even a sovereign expert could be kept in the longevity ring and refined into ashes. Chapter 71. After 10,000 years, even you have become like this. Ling Xiao said softly. He cut open his palm and let his blood flow into the longevity ring. After the longevity ring absorbed Ling Xiao's blood, it actually let out a joyful wave. The rust on the surface slowly disappeared, and it became smooth again. It emitted a milky white glow and hid on the surface of Ling Xiao's skin. Only the power of a low-grade artifact now. But don't worry, since you could become a top-grade supreme artifact in my previous life, I will definitely be able to restore you in this life. I might even surpass my previous life and become an indestructible artifact. Ling Xiao touched the longevity ring gently and said slowly. Even the longevity ring was damaged to such an extent. One could imagine what kind of war the Changsun sect had gone through in the past 10,000 years. The longevity ring's spirit had been destroyed, and only a trace of spirituality was left. It had also degenerated to a low-grade artifact, with only 100 feet of space inside. Ling Xiao opened the longevity ring and saw that there were over 100 martial arts manuals floating in it. Firmament palm, sweeping leg, cloud ladder, misty sword, great Vajra palm, Vajra subduing devil fist. These martial arts were all martial arts that had been lost in the Changsun sect or were incomplete martial arts. However, most of these martial arts were black-grade martial arts. There were only a dozen or so earth-grade martial arts. Among them, there were 3 earth-grade martial arts, Great Vajra Palm, Vajra subduing demon fist, and 6 yang true skill. But what Ling Xiao cared about the most was that there was a heaven-grade martial art among them. Although it was only a low-grade heaven-grade martial art, it was still extremely powerful. Lesser phaseless technique. As the saying goes, clouds are formless, wind is traceless, heaven and earth are impermanent, formless and formless. Cultivating this technique would allow one to imitate other martial arts with unparalleled power. In other words, as long as it was a low-grade heaven-grade martial art, the lesser phaseless technique could imitate it. This technique made Ling Xiao's eyes light up. 10,000 years ago, the Changsun sect did not have this lesser phaseless technique. It should be a martial art collected by the Changsun sect later on. With these martial arts manuals, the Changsun sect only needs to secretly accumulate power and they will definitely rise quickly. This lesser phaseless technique is quite interesting. I can cultivate it. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. The martial arts manuals in the longevity ring were all top-notch. They must have been taken away by Daoist Tianfeng 500 years ago to preserve the longevity sect's legacy. Heaven-class martial arts were extremely precious. Even in martial arts holy lands like the Thousand Beasts sect and the Sun Luna Star sect, heaven-class martial arts were treasures. Other than these martial arts manuals, there were also a few hundred spiritual items and more than 10 precious items in the longevity ring. Those spirit tools could be given to the disciples of the longevity sect to increase their strength. Once they reached the Grandmaster realm, only treasured tools would be able to unleash enough power. Most of these treasures were low-grade treasures. There was only one mid-grade treasure and one high-grade treasure. The mid-grade artifact was a red pill cauldron, named the Six Suns Cauldron. The high-grade artifact was a simple and unadorned longsword. Its radiance was restrained, and its shape was peculiar. It emitted a strange wave of energy, named the Vanquisher Sword. Six Yang Cauldron, Evil Slaying Sword. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up and landed on the Six Suns Cauldron. As an alchemist, he was worried that he didn't have a suitable cauldron. He didn't expect to encounter the Six Suns Cauldron. The Vanquisher Sword was a high-grade treasure with unparalleled power. It could be used as Ling Xiao's weapon. With the Vanquisher Sword in hand, Ling Xiao's battle prowess increased by a lot. With the power of the Vanquisher Sword, Ling Xiao believed that he could even fight against a Grandmaster realm expert. However, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the 9th level of the true energy realm. If he wanted to unleash the full power of the Vanquisher Sword, even if Ling Xiao's Qi was incomparably huge, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. I need to reach the spirit transformation realm as soon as possible. This immortal cave is a good place. Once I break through to the spirit transformation realm, even if I face Lu Guanjie and Guoang with the Vanquisher Sword, it's hard to say who will win and who will lose. Ling Xiao lightly flicked the Vanquisher Sword in his hand, making a crisp sound. The sound was melodious and pure. The flawless sword body shone brightly in Ling Xiao's eyes. Other than the martial arts manuals and treasures, there were only some miscellaneous items that Ling Xiao didn't care about. However, when Ling Xiao saw a yellowish stone in the longevity ring, his eyes suddenly shook and revealed an expression of incomparable ecstasy. This is the Myriad Qi Stone. Ling Xiao took out the yellowish stone and used a bit of strength in his hand. Instantly, the outer layer of the stone shattered, revealing a brilliant yellow light that was dazzling to the eyes. It was a piece of yellowish stone that exuded a thick and pure earth qi. It was majestic and vast, as if endless mountains and rivers were condensed in this ball. It faintly had an aura that encompassed everything. Ling Xiao immediately recognized it. This was the legendary Myriad Qi Stone. The Myriad Qi Stone was a top-grade earth attribute treasure. It was a treasure that had been nurtured by the earth vein core for tens of millions of years. It contained incomparably pure Xianhuang Mother Qi, and Xianhuang Mother Qi was the source of earth attribute spiritual energy. The Myriad Qi Stone had a terrifying effect on those who cultivated earth attribute martial arts. It could increase the cultivation speed by more than 10 times. When used to refine pills, the Myriad Qi Stone could even be used to refine supreme weapons. A supreme weapon contained a weapon spirit and the power of laws. It was the strongest weapon used by Supremes. It could be said that the Myriad Qi Stone was incomparably precious. If it was placed in the War God continent, even Supremes would value it highly. Although the Myriad Qi Stone was not an earth attribute spiritual seed, it was 10 times or even 100 times more powerful. Refining this Myriad Qi Stone would be enough to replenish a portion of the heaven-devouring spiritual seed. I didn't expect Taoist priest Skywind to have such a treasure like the Myriad Qi Stone. It's just that he didn't know that he had such a treasure. Otherwise, no matter how serious his injuries were, if he could refine the Myriad Qi Stone, he would have been able to recover. However, this Myriad Qi Stone has benefited me greatly. Ling Xiao sighed and muttered to himself. The yellowish layer on the Myriad Qi Stone could block the detection of mental strength. Most people wouldn't even care about such a stone and would only treat it as an ordinary weapon refining material. The Myriad Qi Stone was something that even noble realm cultivators might not recognize. That was why Taoist priest Skywind had missed out on this treasure. After obtaining the Myriad Qi Stone, Ling Xiao was also rather excited. He was prepared to refine it and improve the heaven-devouring spiritual seed. Whoosh! Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged and released his Zhen Qi, lifting up the myriad Qi stone and making it float in front of Ling Xiao. Chapter 72. Rumble. Even Ling Xiao did not dare to swallow the myriad Qi stone directly. Otherwise, the majestic power contained in the myriad Qi stone could make him explode in an instant. Therefore, he chose to refine the Xianhuang Mother Qi bit by bit. The Xianhuang Mother Qi was an innate earth attribute spiritual root. Now that it had merged into Ling Xiao's body, it was like the spring wind and rain, silently moistening everything. However, Ling Xiao's body had become a little different. Streaks of dense spiritual light flickered as the Xianhuang Mother Qi merged into Ling Xiao's flesh, meridians, and bone marrow, transforming his body bit by bit. The acquired qi in Ling Xiao's body was expelled, and a stream of innate qi rose. Countless particles around him seemed to be cheering and jumping, and began to greedily devour the Xianhuang Mother Qi. Gradually, Ling Xiao's flesh, meridians, and bone marrow began to emit a jade-like luster, and his whole body was filled with a fragrance like orchids and musk. This was a kind of rebirth, a kind of complete sublimation and metamorphosis. Under the effect of the myriad Qi stone, Ling Xiao's originally incomparably ordinary body was transforming into a mysterious state at this moment. Boom! Not only the body, but the genuine qi in Ling Xiao's body also seemed to have begun to boil at this moment. The Xianhuang Mother Qi was the innate qi of origin. When it entered Ling Xiao's qi si, it was like a ball of fire, instantly burning the endless genuine qi in Ling Xiao's qi si. Waves surged, and the sea of fire spread. The innate genuine qi that Ling Xiao had painstakingly cultivated was dissolved little by little, and Ling Xiao's cultivation also began to decline from LV9 of the genuine qi realm. LV8 of the genuine qi realm, LV6 of the genuine qi realm, LV7 of the genuine qi realm. In the end, the 9 genuine qi vortexes were completely burned, and turned into a faint rain of light, which was very gorgeous. When the last wisp of innate genuine qi was completely burned, Ling Xiao's qi si suddenly changed. Rumble. The majestic black-yellow mother qi exploded with a loud bang, and the chaotic mist filled the air. Ling Xiao's sea of qi seemed to have undergone an earth-shattering change. The original 99 zhang sea of qi suddenly shook violently at this moment, and became 100 zhang wide. The 1,000 feet sea of qi had already reached a state of perfection. At the same time, 9 majestic cyclones instantly appeared in the qi sea, greedily devouring a large amount of Xianhuang Mother Qi. The 9 cyclones were like galaxies. They were very beautiful and contained a pure and mysterious fluctuation. When the 9 cyclones filled Ling Xiao's qi sea, another cyclone was born. This cyclone seemed to be the center of the galaxy, domineering, dignified, noble, and ancient. It contained a dark devouring aura, causing Ling Xiao's dantian and sea of qi to start trembling slightly. Ling Xiao was like a bystander, watching the changes in his dantian and qi si. He had a sudden epiphany. The innate genuine qi realm also has the great perfection. 10 cyclones is the great perfection. Now I can be considered to have reached LV10 of the innate genuine qi realm, right? Ling Xiao thought to himself. However, since ancient times, he had only heard of the great perfection of the meridian opening realm. He had never heard of the great perfection of the genuine qi realm. Ling Xiao faintly felt that perhaps he had stepped on a new path. Rumble. The 10 cyclones occupied the center of the qi si. With the influx of Xianhuang Mother Qi, Ling Xiao's entire qi si was filled with incomparably pure innate genuine qi. In the end, Ling Xiao's dantian felt like it was going to explode. Drip. At this moment, a drop of pale golden innate genuine liquid was born in Ling Xiao's qi si, exuding a cheerful spiritual fluctuation. At the same time, a strong feeling of power filled Ling Xiao's body. The liquefaction of genuine qi, the beginning of spiritual transformation. This was the symbol of the spiritual transformation realm, which also meant that Ling Xiao had completely entered the spiritual transformation realm. At this moment, the the myriad qi stone had only been consumed by less than half. As more and more genuine qi liquefied, Ling Xiao's cultivation also began to increase rapidly. First layer of the spiritual transformation realm, middle layer of the spiritual transformation realm, peak layer of the spiritual transformation realm, second layer of the spiritual transformation realm. Just like this, Ling Xiao only began to suppress the fluctuations of his cultivation when he reached the third layer of the spiritual transformation realm. If he continued to increase his cultivation, it would cause his foundation to become unstable. This was definitely not something Ling Xiao wanted to see. In his qi sea, the heaven-devouring spirit seed's light increased by another ray. Black, red, and yellow rays of light slowly rotated and floated in the center of Ling Xiao's qi sea. It was as if they had turned into a huge black hole, devouring endless energy. At this moment, Ling Xiao no longer continued to increase his cultivation. Instead, he absorbed the Xianhuang Mother Qi into his body and turned it into flood dragon blood. The symbol of the flood dragon body's complete perfection was that all the blood in his body had turned into flood dragon blood. This also meant that Ling Xiao could break through to the next realm. Drops of pale golden blood began to flow, exuding a faint dragon's aura and violent energy fluctuations. The Xianhuang Mother Qi was a precious innate genuine qi that seemed to have a miraculous effect on cultivating the ancestral dragon secret technique. A drop of flood dragon blood instantly condensed. 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops, Ling Xiao was immersed in this state of cultivation. The dragon's aura exuding from his body also became stronger and stronger. After an unknown period of time, when an incomparably clear dragon's roar rang out, Ling Xiao's body shook violently and woke up from that state of cultivation. The universal qi stone that was originally the size of a fist was now the size of a finger. At this moment, Ling Xiao's body was filled with explosive energy. He could no longer refine a trace of the Xianhuang Mother Qi. This was because all the blood in his body had turned into flood dragon blood. Boom! Ling Xiao punched out, and an extremely fast explosion sounded in the void. He was like a young divine king, exuding a faint fragrance all over his body. He was flawless, dazzling, and elegant. His eyes were even brighter than the stars. At this moment, Ling Xiao's vitality was so vigorous that it was terrifying. He was like a flood dragon in human form. It was as if he could shatter a mountain with one punch. Is this the power of the flood dragon body's complete perfection? If a dragon tiger realm powerhouse was standing in front of me, I'm afraid I can blast him into pieces with one punch. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with incomparable confidence. Ling Xiao's harvest from this cultivation was incomparably great. Not only did his cultivation increase to the third level of the spirit transformation realm, but his physical strength had also increased by several times. He felt that he now had a divine strength of 200,000 kilograms with one hand. With one punch, even a small mountain would be blasted apart. The complete flood dragon body also meant that Ling Xiao now truly possessed the strength comparable to a flood dragon. However, from the power of the flood dragon body, Ling Xiao could also see how terrifying the ancestral dragon secret technique was. Number 1 body refiner in the heavens. It lived up to its reputation. Chapter 73. I wonder how long I've been cultivating. Ling Xiao frowned slightly, and a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. At this moment, he could no longer hear the sound of someone attacking the tripartite spirit sealing array. Could it be that Lu Guanjie and Guang gave up so quickly? Ling Xiao pondered for a while. That should be impossible. The only possibility was that he had been cultivating for a long time. After all, it was hard to have a sense of time when one was immersed in cultivation. Ling Xiao felt that it was only a moment, but in reality, a long time had passed. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao could not help but worry. Would Yihuan sect and demonic palace fly into a rage and attack the Changsun sect? The Changsun sect was ranked last among the 3 sections. If Yihuan sect and demonic palace joined forces to attack, the Changsun sect would not be able to hold on for long. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao felt a sense of anxiety in his heart. He kept Sage Tianfeng's corpse in his longevity ring and walked out of the cave. There are still people guarding here who are unwilling to give up. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he sneered. Through the tripartite spirit ceiling formation, he saw two elders sitting cross-legged outside the light. They were both at LV9 Dragon Tiger Realm. One was from Hehuan's sect while the other was from Demonic Palace. Ling Xiao guessed that Hehuan's sect and Demonic Palace might not be able to open the tripartite spirit ceiling formation. However, they were unwilling to leave just like that, so they sent two elders to keep watch. Moreover, two LV9 Dragon Tiger Realm powerhouses were enough to suppress Ling Xiao. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao took a step forward and walked out of the light curtain formed by the tripartite spirit ceiling formation. Ling Xiao, you dare to come out? As soon as Ling Xiao came out, the two old men opened their eyes. Their cold and murderous gazes landed on Ling Xiao. They were incomparably indifferent. What did you get in the cave? Hand it all over and kneel down to accept your death. We'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, this old man will make you beg for death. The elder of the All-Pleasure sect said coldly. There was a hint of greed in his eyes. Although he did not know how Ling Xiao entered the tripartite spirit ceiling formation, he was sure that Ling Xiao must have gotten a lot of benefits from the Immortal's Cave. If he could capture him and interrogate him, even if he had to hand over most of the benefits to the sect, he would still be able to pocket a lot. The two elders surrounded Ling Xiao on his left and right, as though they could attack him at any time. How many days have I been in the tripartite spirit ceiling formation? Where are Lu Guangjie and Guang? Ling Xiao frowned and said coldly as he looked at the two old men. Ha ha ha. Brat, could it be that you're scared silly? You don't even know how many days you've been in there. You've been in the cave. I think you've gone crazy from hunger and can't hold on anymore, right? The old man from the All-Pleasure sect laughed loudly. His face was full of excitement. Brat, how dare you call Vice Sect Master Lu and Vice Hall Master Guo by their names? Obediently hand over the things you obtained in the cave, or you will die without a doubt. I'm not afraid to tell you that the Heavenly Demon Palace and Hehuan sect have joined forces to attack the Changsun sect. I'm afraid the Changsun sect has already been destroyed. The elder from Heavenly Demon Palace said coldly. He stared at Ling Xiao as though he was staring at his prey. Both of them thought that Ling Xiao must have starved for 10 days in the cave and came out because he could not take it anymore. Although Ling Xiao was strong, there was a limit to his strength. With their cultivation at the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger Realm, they could easily suppress Ling Xiao. The Heavenly Demon Palace and Hehuan sect have already attacked the Changsun sect. When did this happen? Ling Xiao's expression changed as he asked coldly. He started to panic. He did not expect the thing he was worried about to happen. He had been cultivating in the Immortal's Cave for 10 days. When? Today. Kid, I think you're asking for it. Don't waste your breath on him. Let's go and take him down. The old man from the All-Pleasure sect glanced at the old man from the Demonic Palace and shouted as he charged towards Ling Xiao. Boom! The elder of the Hehuan sect unleashed his innate true qi and struck out with his palm. Pink mist filled the air and emitted a kind of qi that made people feel dizzy. Palm shadows filled the sky and were as fast as lightning. Each palm contained a godly power that could shatter gold and shatter stone. This was the peerless profound martial art of Hehuan's sect, 1,000 illusory palms. With a single strike, countless afterimages were formed. It could pull people into an illusion and kill people without leaving a trace. It was extremely vicious. The elder from Heavenly Demon Palace also struck out with his fist. Demonic chi gushed out as though a huge heavenly demon had descended. It contained a dark and domineering strength. The peerless profound martial art of Heavenly Demon Palace, Heavenly Demon Fist. The two of them had seen Ling Xiao's combat strength before and naturally did not underestimate him. Therefore, they used their killing moves right away. They wanted to capture Ling Xiao with lightning speed. The two level 9 Dragon Tiger Realm experts struck at the same time. Their innate true Kang swept across the sky with great momentum. Boom! The 1,000 illusory palms and heavenly demon fists' powerful attack instantly landed on Ling Xiao and drowned him. Oh no! However, in the next moment, their expressions changed as they exclaimed at the same time. The two of them did not hit Ling Xiao at all. It was just an afterimage. Ling Xiao had disappeared without them noticing. This kind of speed was simply world-shocking. A strong sense of danger came from behind the two of them. Without thinking, the two of them wanted to run away. Since you don't know what's good for you, you can go to hell. Ling Xiao's figure appeared behind the two elders. His body was surrounded by faint clouds and a clear dragon's roar was emitted from his body. Roar! A monstrous amount of blood chi burst forth, and Ling Xiao seemed to have turned into a human-shaped flood dragon. The flood dragon blood in his body began to boil, and his unparalleled physical strength was awakened. Furthermore, it was accompanied by the double strength of the berserk dragon spirit art. Ling Xiao struck out with his fist. This fist caused the void to tremble. The blazing fist radiance seemed to be able to tear the heaven and earth apart. It was as though the surrounding void was shattered by this fist. This was Ling Xiao's most powerful fist since his rebirth. It was a combination of his level 3 spirit transformation realm cultivation, the unparalleled physical strength of the dragon's body, the violent dragon's super ability, and the Vajra demon fist. This fist was as bright as the sun and as terrifying as the heavens. It was unstoppable. It vowed to destroy everything and kill everything. Ling Xiao was anxious. He wanted to rush back to the Changsun sect. In addition, he also wanted to test the limits of his current combat strength. Therefore, the two elders who had provoked him became his test subjects. Heavenly Demon Fist, Tyrant Sky Strike. The demonic palace elder who was closest to this fist felt a fatal threat. This fist made his scalp tingle, and a sense of helplessness rose in his heart, causing him to tremble with fear. However, he still roared and used the Heavenly Demon Fist's ultimate move to block Ling Xiao's fist. Boom! The two fists collided and the demonic palace elder's arm exploded into a mist of blood. Moreover, the unparalleled force did not diminish in the slightest, directly slamming into his chest. The old man from the demonic palace was sent flying dozens of meters away, smashing heavily into the mountain wall in the distance. Blood spurted from his mouth, and his internal organs were completely crushed. He died on the spot. Chapter 74. What? How is this possible? That's impossible. The eyes of the old man from the all-pleasure sect revealed an incomparably horrified expression, and his voice began to tremble. At this moment, Ling Xiao's aura was monstrous as if he was an awakened primordial ferocious beast. He was emitting a monstrous murderous aura and killing intent. He had actually killed a powerhouse in the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm with a single punch. The old man from the all-pleasure sect found it hard to believe and a feeling of extreme fear welled up in his heart. The young man before him gave him an extremely unreal feeling. A young man who was not even 16 years old was actually able to kill a powerhouse in the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm with a single punch. Didn't that mean that he already had the battle prowess of a grandmaster? A 15-year-old grandmaster. Just thinking about it made one's heart tremble. This kid must have obtained some benefits in the Immortal's Cave. He must escape and report to the sect. When Ling Xiao's gaze landed on him, he couldn't help but shiver. He turned around and ran. If he continued to stay here, he would definitely end up like the elder from the demonic palace. Whoosh! The old man from the demonic palace rushed out of the mine like a bolt of lightning. He had pushed his cultivation to the extreme, bringing with him the sound of the wind. Want to leave? It's too late. Ling Xiao's indifferent voice rang out. He took a step forward and the sound of a dragon's roar reverberated. His majestic true qi seemed to have turned into a misty cloud, leaving behind an afterimage. Ling Xiao had already chased after the old man. The Cloud Dragon 9 Transformations was originally a powerful movement martial art created by an ancient almighty after observing the divine dragon soaring through the clouds. Although it wasn't as terrifying as the divine dragon's speed, it still contained a trace of the true meaning of the divine dragon soaring through the sky. In addition, Ling Xiao had cultivated the flood dragon's body and had already transcended the mortal world. It complemented the Cloud Dragon 9 Transformations perfectly. In just a few moves, Ling Xiao arrived behind the old man from the All Pleasures sect. Feeling the wind behind him, the old man from the All Pleasures sect was scared out of his wits. He unleashed his innate true qi without any hesitation. At the same time, he pulled out a sharp spiritual weapon long sword and slashed at Ling Xiao. He didn't hope to kill Ling Xiao. He only hoped to buy a little more time for him to escape from the mine. But it was still too late. Rumble. Launching the Vajra subduing devil fist, Ling Xiao's unparalleled physical strength blasted out. The spiritual longsword was directly smashed into pieces by Ling Xiao, and the innate true aura that shot at Ling Xiao's body was like shooting at glass, emitting a crisp tinkling sound. No! The All Pleasure sect elder's eyes were filled with fear as he roared. However, after a few punches, he was killed just like the demonic palace elder. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered as he discovered two palm-sized storage bags on the two old men. These two old men were not ordinary. They actually had a storage pouch. Although the storage pouch only had a few feet of space, it was still very impressive. After all, storage treasures were hard to find. Usually, only Grandmaster Realm experts would have a storage treasure. Ling Xiao put the two storage pouches into his longevity ring and flew out of the mine. Nothing must happen to Changsun sect. Wait for me. Ling Xiao's heart was filled with anxiety, and a murderous look appeared in his eyes. After he left the spiritual stone mine, he quickly used the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique and headed towards Changsun Mountain. Changsun Mountain, the setting sun was like blood. The afterglow of the setting sun shone on the Changsun Square, and the wind seemed to have frozen. A faint smell of blood permeated the air, reflecting the panicked faces of the crowd. The disciples of Changsun sect were all in white robes bathed in blood. They held long swords in their hands and slowly retreated to the front of Changsun Hall. Nan Gongqing, Zhuo Zhen, Jian Wuk, Deng Yalan, Lu Chuanxiong, Gu Zhong. All the disciples of Changsun sect were furious as they stared at the group of people in front of them. Nan Gongxian was surrounded by them. His white robes were stained with blood, and his face was extremely pale. There was even a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, and his breathing was extremely chaotic. Opposite them was a group of people in black robes and a group of people in yin-yang Taoist robes. Their breathing was cold, and their eyes were cold and murderous. They stared at the people of Changsun sect as if they were looking at lambs waiting to be slaughtered. The two people in the lead stood there, and a violent aura exploded. It was as if they could split the heavens and earth apart, and their figures were extremely tall and straight. On the left was a burly man in black robes. His muscles exuded explosive power, and black demonic chi surged, making him look like a god. His breathing was extremely wild, and his eyes were filled with aggression and murderous intent. The innate energy around him was hidden, as if he was one with the heavens and earth. He was the palace master of Heavenly Demon Palace, Yun Batian. On the right was a handsome young man who looked to be in his 20s. He wore a long robe embroidered with flowers, and his body emitted waves of fragrance. His face was extremely charming, and his pair of phoenix eyes shone with a cold light, making him look extremely sinister, like a poisonous snake. Those who knew him would know that he was already in his 50s or 60s, but he relied on an evil technique to maintain his appearance. He was the sect master of All Pleasures sect, Yin Kuei. The two of them stood there casually, and the disciples of Changsun sect felt as if the heavens and earth were pressing down on them. Their faces turned pale, as if they were facing a great enemy. Yun Batian, Yin Kuei, are you really going to fight to the death with my Changsun sect? Nangong Xian coughed violently as he stared at Yun Batian and Yin Kuei, and said coldly. At the same time, he looked at the corpses on the Changsun Square, and his heart was bleeding. Most of them were disciples of Changsun sect, and they were slaughtered by All Pleasure sect and Heavenly Demon Palace just like that. The attack of All Pleasure sect and Heavenly Demon Palace came like a storm, catching everyone off guard. In addition, Changsun sect was weaker than the other two sects, so after a huge battle, Changsun sect suffered heavy casualties, and the remaining disciples were forced to the front of Changsun Hall. They couldn't retreat any further, because behind them was a cliff. Fight to the death. Is Changsun sect qualified to do that? Yun Badian sneered and said with disdain. Right now, the Changsun sect's Master Realm experts were all severely injured, and the Dragon Tiger Realm elders were severely injured. Only a few disciples were left who were still resisting. In the eyes of He Huan sect and Sky Demon Palace, the Changsun sect was like a fish on a chopping board. Nangong Xian, surrender now. With your talent, Palace Master Yun and Sect Master Yin will definitely put you in an important position. As long as you surrender, the disciples of Changsun sect will be safe. Do you really want to kill them? Beside Yun Badian, a dignified old man with silver hair sneered. Shut up. Chapter 75. Lin Shan, I hate that I didn't kill you earlier, you bastard. You actually destroyed the sect-protecting formation of the Changsun sect and betrayed us. You are the sinner of the Changsun sect. The Sky-Devouring Supreme Patriarch is watching you, and so is the Longevity Supreme Patriarch. Even if I die, I won't let you off. Nangong Xian's voice was bone-chillingly cold. Due to his anger, an abnormal flush appeared on his face, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. At this point, Nangong Xian's heart was filled with regret. Initially, he didn't punish Lin Shan because he was the Grand Elder of the Changsun sect and had contributed a lot to the sect. He only asked Lin Shan to reflect on his actions. However, he didn't expect Lin Shan to collude with the Demonic Palace and the He Huan sect. Not only did they destroy the sect-protecting formation of the Changsun sect, but they also ambushed Nangong Xian and injured him. That was why the disciples of the Changsun sect were massacred. Father, are you all right? Nangong Qing hurried forward to support Nangong Xian. Her eyes were red, and she looked extremely worried. She had also experienced a bitter battle. Her white clothes were stained with blood, and even her snow-white arms had a few ghastly wounds. I'm fine. Qing, it's been hard on you. Father is useless and can't save you. However, with Ling Xiao around, the Changsun sect won't be destroyed. He will definitely kill the Demonic Palace and He Huan sect to avenge us. Nangong Xian looked at Nangong Qing with a benevolent and guilty expression. Father, I'm not afraid of death. To be able to die together with her father, Qing'er would have no regrets. I also believe that he will definitely avenge us. Nangong Qing shook her head, and a heart-wrenching smile appeared on her pale face. For some reason, Nangong Qing thought of the Purple Moon Lake in the Fearsome Beast Mountain Range. When she first met Ling Xiao, he saw her naked body, and she was so angry that she chased after him. She thought of the young man in the purple bamboo forest. When he teased her, the moonlight shone on his face. It was really beautiful. However, she probably wouldn't be able to see him again. Nangong Qing's gaze was a little dazed, and a strange feeling emerged in her heart. Ling Xiao. You're still counting on him when you're about to die. Lu Guanjie, who was standing beside Yin Kuei, let out an ear-piercing voice and sneered, he killed my sect's elder Mayan and killed my sect's disciples. If he didn't run fast enough, he would have been killed by me. However, so what if he was hiding in the immortal cave? 10 days had passed. He was probably half dead from hunger, right? After we destroy the Longevity sect, we will attack the immortal cave and send that brat to accompany you. You can't kill him. He is the most miraculous person I've ever seen. When he was at the Channel Opening Realm, he defeated someone at the Spirit Transformation Realm. When he was at the true energy realm, he killed someone at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm and Ma Yan at the dragon tiger realm. Once he reaches the spirit transformation realm, what kind of miracle will he create? You can never imagine how great his potential is. The celestial being's cave abode might be a cage to you, but to him, it might be a sea that transforms into a divine dragon. That's right. The saint would never be defeated. Not in the past, and never in the future. Bastards of the demonic palace and all pleasure sect, just wait for your deaths. So what if this young master dies? It won't be long before the Holy Sun makes you all accompany me in death. As long as the saint doesn't die, he will live forever. Lu Chuanxiong, Deng Yalan, and the other disciples' eyes that were filled with despair were now filled with vigor. It was as if all of them were roaring out their inner cries. That delicate and handsome figure had created one impossibility after another, completing one miracle after another. Everyone believed in him without any reason. All the disciples of the longevity sect silently picked up the long swords on the ground. They clenched their fists and looked forward. It was as if they wanted to pour all of their lives into the long swords in their hands. Everyone's battle intent fused together and gathered into a mysterious force that could shatter the void and destroy the clouds. Have you all decided to die? Since they are so stubborn, let's kill them all. Yin Kuei, who had been silent all this while, looked at the people of the longevity sect and laughed coldly. He waved his hand and said, "Kill! Kill!" It was as if two torrents had collided with each other, creating a huge wave. Blood mist surged and killing intent shot up to the heavens. It was the final elegy of the longevity sect. Immortality! Immortality! At this moment, Ling Xiao, who had already arrived at the foot of the longevity sect, trembled when he heard these words. His eyes were filled with intense killing intent. Not good. Ling Xiao activated the Cloud Dragon's 9 transformations to the maximum. Like a dragon, he darted through the clouds and headed towards the peak of the longevity mountain. Ling Xiao was extremely anxious and furious. However, the more he was like this, the calmer his eyes were. The sharpness of his gaze seemed to be able to pierce through everything. Longevity investiture of the gods, purple heavenly thunder, follow me to kill. Ling Xiao formed a seal with both hands and used his mental strength to activate a mysterious force in the longevity mountain. At the same time, the true qi in his body seemed to have turned into dazzling golden runes and scattered in all directions. Light rain filled the air and the mountain shook. A strange ripple slowly spread out. It was as if a slumbering primordial beast had slowly opened its eyes that could destroy all things. Trying to destroy the longevity investiture of the gods. Damn it! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He felt that the fluctuation of the formation was a little obscure, as if it was being suppressed by some kind of power. Ling Xiao finally knew why the Heavenly Demon Palace and the Hehuan sect were able to kill their way up the longevity mountain without any obstructions. It was because someone had destroyed the longevity investiture of the gods. The person who knew the secret of the longevity investiture of the gods and was able to tamper with it was obviously Lin Shan. Since you're courting death, I'll send you on your way. You're just a mere master. You want to destroy the longevity investiture of the gods that I've set up. You must be dreaming. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with blood-red killing intent. The true qi in his body exploded without restraint. His hand seals became faster and faster, and golden runes scattered in all directions. Boom! It was as if the earth and mountains were shaking. A destructive fluctuation erupted. Thunder boomed in the void, and millions of purple lightning bolts enveloped the longevity mountain. When those purple lightning bolts landed on Ling Xiao's body, they instantly became extremely obedient. They turned into a huge purple lightning dragon and carried Ling Xiao all the way to the peak of the longevity mountain. Riding the dragon and soaring into the sky, breaking through the heavens. At this moment, Ling Xiao was stepping on the purple lightning bolts. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were piercingly cold. His entire body was shrouded in golden light, and he exuded a majestic aura. He was like a peerless god of war. At this moment, Ling Xiao's battle intent and killing intent had accumulated to the maximum. The lightning bolts in the sky moved according to his will, turning the Longevity Mountain into a land of lightning. Kill Lin Shan. Destroy the Hehuan sect. Destroy the Heavenly Demon Palace. Destroy all the enemies in the world who dare to go against me. Chapter 76. On top of the Longevity Mountain. The clouds seemed to have turned blood red. The setting sun shone down, illuminating a tragic azure hell. Even though the Longevity sect disciples were prepared to die and unleashed 120% of their strength, there were still many casualties under the joint attack of the All-Pleasure sect and Demonic Palace. The difference was too great. Seeing the Longevity sect disciples lying in pools of blood, Nangong Xian, the Great Elder, and the others' eyes turned red. They ignored their injuries and burned their blood essence to kill the experts of the two sections. However, they were quickly stopped by Yun Batian and Yin Kuei. Although Nangong Qing, Jian Wuk, Zhuo Zhen, Deng Yalan, and the others were extremely talented, they were only at the spirit transformation realm. When the Dragon Tiger realm elders attacked, they were instantly surrounded by danger. Boom! Lu Guanjie charged over, his innate true energy raining down like swords. Nangong Qing, Jian Wuk, and the others were struck by lightning. They all spat out mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying. Their eyes were dim. Are we going to die just like that? A sad smile appeared on Nangong Qing's beautiful face. The sword in her hand fell and she slowly closed her eyes. Rumble. But just at this moment, the Longevity Mountain trembled violently as thunder crackled in the skies. Thereafter, an unparalleled aura that seemed capable of annihilating the entire world enveloped the entire Longevity sect. Purple lightning flashed and gathered into a purple sky. It emitted a violent and mysterious aura that filled the Longevity Mountain. Roar! Following that, a dragon's roar reverberated through the sky. In the sky filled with lightning, a figure stepped on a purple lightning dragon. His robes fluttered in the wind and he was extremely domineering. He hugged Nangong Qing who was in midair. Longevity God Sealing Array. Ling Xiao is back. Nangong Xian's body trembled. His eyes were filled with excitement. Saint? It's the Saint. The Saint is back. We're saved. Ha ha ha. I knew the Saint wouldn't give up on us. Bastards of the All-Pleasure sect and Demonic Palace, wait for your deaths. When the disciples of Changsun's sect saw the figure in the sky, their eyes were filled with shock and excitement as they cheered loudly. The purple lightning dragon traversed the void, exuding a world-destroying pressure. Lightning filled the sky, shaking the heavens. On the other hand, Ling Xiao stood on top of the lightning dragon, enveloped in golden light. His hair fluttered in the wind, and his straight body seemed to be able to support the heavens and earth. Ling Xiao's appearance was so cool that it shocked everyone. It had to be said that the effect of such an appearance was extremely good. It was as if the Changsun sect's members were injected with adrenaline, causing them to be filled with endless confidence. As for the people from the All-Pleasure sect and Demonic Palace, they were all intimidated by Lei Long's might. Their faces changed greatly as they revealed terrified expressions. How is that possible? I clearly destroyed the sect protecting Grand Array, so how could he reactivate it? Lin Shan's expression changed drastically as a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. Moreover, Lin Shan's scalp went numb at the thought of the mysterious power of the Great Sect Protection Formation. The Longevity God Sealing Formation was set up by the Sky-Devouring Sovereign and Longevity Sovereign. It was said that 10,000 years ago, it could kill gods and demons. 10,000 years later, although the power of the Great Sect Protection Formation had been greatly weakened, it was still extremely terrifying. It was said that 500 years ago, the Changsun sect had an extremely tragic battle. In that battle, the sect leader activated the Longevity God Sealing Formation with all his might and killed a noble realm expert and 7 sky realm experts. Isn't he trapped in the Immortals' cave abode? Why is he here? Could it be? Lu Guanjie's face turned extremely ugly as he guessed that the two elders who were at the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm had probably died in Ling Xiao's hands. The current Ling Xiao did not hide his cultivation at all. He had already reached the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm. Lu Guanjie was incomparably terrified by the speed of his cultivation. In just 10 days, he had risen from the true Qi realm to the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm. If he was given another year or so, wouldn't he be able to reach the Grandmaster realm? He had to kill this kid. He could not be allowed to continue growing. Hearing the cheers coming from all around, Nangong Qing suddenly opened her eyes. What entered her sight was that familiar and delicate young man. Nangong Qing stared at him in a daze and revealed a smile that made the heavens and earth pale in comparison. He was finally back. How great! Ling Xiao also smiled and said, I'm back. I'll bring you to kill someone. Nangong Qing nodded as a smile blossomed on her delicate face. You're Ling Xiao. Yun Baishan's cold voice sounded. Kid, it seems like you've obtained quite a lot of benefits from the Sky Realm Cave. If you hand over the treasures you obtained from the Sky Realm Cave and give me the secret method to control the Changsan sect's Great Sect Protection Formation, I'll spare your life. How about it? Yun Baishan's face revealed a hint of greed. The purple lightning that filled the sky made him faintly feel a trace of threat. If he could control the Great Sect Protection Formation, the demonic palace would probably surpass the All-Pleasure sect and become the strongest sect. However, he did not see that the corner of Ling Xiao's mouth revealed a hint of mockery. Yin Kuei also smiled and said, what a handsome young man. I really want to hold you in my arms and dote on you. Kid, why don't you join my All-Pleasure sect? I guarantee that you'll be the holy son of my All-Pleasure sect and the future sect master of my All-Pleasure sect. All of you must die. Ling Xiao slowly said as a trace of a cold smile appeared in his eyes. Ling Xiao, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you control the Great Sect Protection Formation. You're only at the Spirit Transformation realm. If the two sect masters take action, you'll die without a doubt. Why don't you surrender now? Lin Shan also sternly shouted. Old dog, do you know? The person I want to kill the most, is you. Ling Xiao looked at Lin Shan as boundless killing intent burst out from his eyes. A bolt of purple heaven divine lightning was like a heavenly pillar that emitted endless destructive pressure as it blasted towards Lin Shan. How dare you? Lin Shan was shocked and angry at the same time. The heavenly thunder of purple heaven made his scalp tingle. But in the blink of an eye, it was already in front of him. He hurriedly activated his cultivation and unleashed his innate true gang towards the heavenly thunder of purple heaven. Kacha! The purple lightning exploded, shattering Lin Shan's innate true Kang almost instantly, and then landed on his body. Lightning flashed and Lin Shan's hair was disheveled after being struck by the lightning. He was in an extremely sorry state. Kill him. Yun Batian and Yin Kuei looked at each other and a trace of killing intent flashed in their eyes. They leaped up at the same time and charged towards Ling Xiao. Chapter 77. Ling Xiao, watch out! Nangong Xian and the first elder exclaimed as their expressions changed. Although they were confident in Ling Xiao, Yun Batian and Yin Kuei were both at the 5th level of the Grandmaster realm, which was much higher than Ling Xiao. If they really succeeded, then the sect protection formation would really be broken. Purple heavenly thunder, 10,000 thunderbolts. Ling Xiao pointed at Yun Batian and Yin Kuei with a cold look. Boom! The lightning dragon beneath his feet seemed to be enraged. A shocking killing intent appeared in its purple eyes. It then spat out a blazing purple lightning bolt towards Yun Batian and Yin Kuei. At the same time, the sea of purple thunderbolts in the sky boiled. Huge bolts of purple heavenly thunder fell from the sky like a purple galaxy. It was dazzling and instantly drowned the two. Demonic Tyrant Fist. Yin Yang Sky Splitting Palm. Yun Batian and Yin Kuei's eyes turned solemn. They both roared at the same time and unleashed their trump cards. The demonic tyrant fist was the most powerful martial art in the demonic palace. It was a lower earth-level martial art. Under Yun Batian's Grandmaster realm cultivation, the sky was filled with demonic chi. The huge fist aura seemed to have come from the Nine Serenities hell. It contained a domineering and terrifying power as it went to meet the purple heavenly thunder. The yin-yang sky-splitting palm was also an earth-level lower-grade martial art. When the yin sunflower attacked, it was ethereal and traceless, and its Tao was natural. A huge yin-yang millstone appeared in the void, showing the shape of a palm, as if it wanted to obliterate all life. It was also heading toward Ling Shao. The two grandmasters attacked at the same time. The power of heaven and earth was vast and boundless. It seemed like it was going to resist the purple heavenly thunder. Boom! The void shook violently and the sky shook. Endless light exploded, as if a small sun had exploded. The purple heavenly thunder was broken by Yun Batian and Yin Kuei's powerful martial art. Although they were blown away by the violent power of the purple heavenly thunder, they did not suffer any injuries. 10,000 years have passed. Has the longevity god's sealing array become so weak? Ling Shao sighed softly, but the coldness in his eyes became even more intense. You can withstand the purple heaven divine thunder, but what about the others? Yun Batian and Yin Kuei's expressions changed drastically when they heard this. Their cold gazes landed on Ling Shao. Ling Shao, how dare you? If you dare to make a move, my He-Huan sect will fight you to the death. Ling Shao scoffed and said, aren't we at odds with each other in the first place? Purple heaven godly thunder, 10,000 thunderbolts strike. Fall. As Ling Shao spoke, the entire longevity mountain began to tremble. The sea of purple lightning in the sky was enraged, producing loud rumbling sounds. Boom! Boom! Huge purple light pillars that contained a tyrannical destructive power poured down like roaring thunder dragons towards the people of the He-Huan sect and the demonic palace. The dazzling lightning was like the aurora of heaven and earth, dazzling everyone. But in this beautiful scenery, there was a strong sense of danger. Bang! A disciple of the all-pleasure sect was struck by the purple heaven godly lightning. He didn't even have time to scream before he exploded into a bloody mist. Ah! Miserable cries could be heard as the disciples of the demonic palace were turned into ashes by the purple heaven godly lightning. Even the elders of the dragon tiger realm were in a sorry state. Their eyes were filled with fear. They weren't like the grandmasters who could use the power of heaven and earth for their own use. They could only rely on their innate true Kong to resist the purple heaven godly lightning. But how could the power of heaven and earth be resisted by humans? Not long after, some of the Dragon Tiger realm experts were struck by the purple heaven godly lightning. Their bodies were charred black, and they died screaming in agony. Under the purple heaven godly lightning, the longevity mountain seemed to have turned into hell. No one could escape from the purple heaven godly lightning. Yun Batian, Yin Kuei, and the others' eyes turned red instantly. These were the elite disciples of the all-pleasure sect and the demonic palace. Seeing them die one by one under the purple heaven godly lightning made their hearts bleed. If they allowed Ling Shao to continue killing, wouldn't they all be alone? Ling Shao, give me your life. Yun Batian roared as he gathered his true chi. His entire body was like a black stream of light, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Everyone, let's kill this brat together. Otherwise, we'll all die. Lin Shan roared as he soared into the sky like a rock. He used the 7 stars transforming moon sword, and 7 cold rays of light shrouded Ling Shao. Then, Yin Kuei, Lu Guanjie, and the 3 elders of the Grandmaster realm rushed forward. 7 Grandmasters. Everyone seemed to be fighting with their lives on the line as they charged toward Ling Shao. Ha ha ha. So what if you all attack together? In my eyes, you're all just chickens and dogs. Ling Shao laughed loudly. His heroic spirit soared to the sky, and his entire body exuded an incomparably violent aura. Behind him, Nangong Qing's eyes lit up. Fall of the longevity sword, purple heaven thunder, explode. Following Ling Zhao's roar, the lightning rays in the sky changed again. A dazzling sword ray that seemed to have come from the 9 heavens tore through the sky. The Milky Way fell, and a dazzling cold light flashed. The entire longevity mountain began to tremble as the sword intent that seemed to be able to destroy the world swept across the land. The dazzling sword ray instantly transformed into billions of sword chi. In the sky, the longevity sword chi and the purple heaven heavenly thunder separated as if they were 2 different domains. At this moment, they suddenly merged together and shrouded the 7 grandmasters. How is this possible? How can the longevity sect's protective array be so terrifying? What kind of sword formation is this? How can it possess such a powerful sword intent? Yun Batian and Yin Kuei's expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as their hearts began to tremble. Although the purple heaven heavenly thunder had put them in a difficult position, they were still able to withstand it. However, the longevity sword chi that shrouded the land made them feel the threat of death. At this moment, Ling Xiao controlled the longevity sword chi and bathed in the purple heaven heavenly thunder. As brilliant as the heavenly thunder, he was like an emperor who controlled the heavenly Tao, forever imprinted in everyone's hearts. All of the disciples of Changsun's sect were filled with fervent adoration at this moment. At this moment, Yumu was forever imprinted in their hearts. Even after countless years, they would not be able to forget it. Longevity God Sealing Array. This is the real longevity God Sealing Array. Nangong Xian muttered to himself as his body trembled. His eyes shone with endless sharpness. Swoosh! Swoosh! Boom! Boom! Chapter 78. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed coldly. Blood chi surged from his body as he activated the violent dragon super skill. The evil-slaying ancient sword fell into his hand and burst out with boundless light. Infinity Sword of Light. This was the first time Ling Zhao had used the Infinity Sword of Light. The sword essence that filled the sky seemed to have been taken over by the evil-slaying ancient sword. Bathed in purple lightning, he charged toward one of the 7 masters. Chi! A blood-red light flashed as Lin Shan was struck by the sword chi and lightning. Even though his innate true Kong was extremely powerful, it was still shattered in an instant, leaving bloody scars on his body, making him look extremely miserable. How can this little bastard activate the complete sect protection formation? How can the sect protection formation be so powerful? Lin Shan trembled as he gritted his teeth. His hatred for Ling Xiao had reached its peak. Blocking the longevity sword chi and purple sky divine lightning caused him to feel fear and regret. Swoosh! However, at this moment, a sword light that emitted boundless light, as if it was the first sword light that split the world apart, pierced through the darkness and arrived in front of him in an instant. Lin Shan was scared out of his wits. He quickly mobilized his cultivation to block the attack and sent a palm toward the sword. The sword light flashed and a bloody mist flashed. Although Lin Shan dodged the fatal attack at the critical moment, it still left a trace of blood on his neck. Ling Xiao, it's you. Lin Shan roared. After the light flashed, Ling Xiao, who was standing on a thunder dragon, appeared. At this moment, Ling Xiao was holding the evil-slaying ancient sword and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. You deserve to die for deceiving your master. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Boundless light flashed again and shot toward Lin Shan's glabella. Even if I die, I'll take you with me. Lin Shan bellowed, a ferocious look on his face. At that very moment, he was in an extremely dangerous situation. The longevity sword beam and purple sky divine lightning were already difficult for him to deal with. However, the evil-slaying ancient sword in Ling Zhao's hand made him feel a fatal threat. Boom! He did not dodge. Instead, a long sword with overwhelming spiritual chi appeared in his hand. He used the 7 stars transforming moon sword. 7 sword chi formed by starlight slashed toward Ling Xiao. It was a suicidal attack. Pooh! Puff! Puff! The explosive power of the Xiantian Qi shield was astonishing, and it slashed Ling Xiao's body almost instantly. Lin Shan was overjoyed, but in the next moment, his soul almost left his body. The 7 streaks of starlight sword Qi had actually only struck Ling Xiao's afterimage, while Ling Xiao's real body had already flashed behind him at some point. Cloud Dragon's 9 transformations, myriad transformations. The immeasurable light sword stabbed out with extreme speed. The evil extermination sword in Ling Xiao's hand instantly pierced through Lin Shan's chest. How is this possible? Lin Shan's eyeballs popped out of their sockets. His face was filled with disbelief as he fell to the ground, dead. An evolved Jing master was dead. First one. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His cold gaze landed on Lu Guanjie in the distance. What? Yun Batian, Yin Kuei, and the rest of the 6 grandmasters were shocked. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to kill Lin Shan so quickly. Lin Shan's cultivation was at the 4th stage of the grandmaster realm. He was only slightly weaker than Yun Batian and Yin Kuei. However, under the full power of the immortal god sealing array, the immortal sword Qi, and the purple heaven lightning, Yun Batian and the rest couldn't even protect themselves. How could they have the time to care about others? In addition, Ling Xiao's Cloud Dragon's 9 transformations was incomparably fast, and the purple heaven lightning dragon gave Ling Xiao the ability to fly. There was no way they could join forces to kill Ling Xiao. Whoosh! Ling Xiao flew across the sky, the immeasurable light sword shining brightly. The evil extermination sword was a high-grade bejeweled weapon, and its power was unparalleled. The two complemented each other even more. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the 3rd stage of the spirit transformation realm, under the full power of the heaven-devouring secret technique, all the spiritual energy in Zhou Tian surged over, ensuring that Ling Xiao's true qi would never dry up. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Seeing that Lin Shan was killed, Lu Guanjie no longer had any fighting spirit. His eyes were filled with incomparable fear. Even Lin Shan, who was at the 4th stage of the Grandmaster realm, was no match for Ling Xiao. He was only at the 2nd stage of the Grandmaster realm. He probably had no chance at all. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold. Lu Guanjie had chased after him in the Spirit Stone Mine and even seriously injured him. Ling Xiao showed no mercy to him. A few bright sword rays flashed. Although Lu Guanjie tried his best to defend, he had already lost his will to fight. Ling Xiao seized the opportunity and pierced his throat, killing him instantly. The 2nd Grandmaster was dead. After 2 Grandmasters were killed in succession, the remaining people were scared out of their wits. They wanted to escape at all costs. As for the people from Changsun sect below, their eyes were filled with fanaticism and admiration. Those were Grandmasters. They were Grandmasters who could establish their own sect. They had comprehended the power of heaven and earth and had condensed the innate true Kang. Yet, they were all killed by Ling Xiao like vegetables. One had to admit that such a scene was extremely shocking. And you guys? Ling Xiao's gaze landed on the 3 elders who were at the 1st stage of the Grandmaster realm. He stepped on the lightning dragon and soared through the sky. The 3 elders were only at the 1st stage of the Grandmaster realm. After being tortured by the eternal sword Qi and purple heavenly lightning, they could only bitterly resist. How could they resist Ling Xiao? 3 resplendent sword beams of light shot out and pierced through the 3 men's foreheads, killing them instantly. In just a few moments, 5 Grandmasters were killed. The Changsun mountain was silent. Everyone looked at the figure in the void in awe, dumbfounded. Only the sword radiance and the roaring of the heavenly thunder of purple heaven could be heard. Almost all the disciples and elders of the Hehuan sect and the demonic palace were killed by the purple heavenly lightning. Occasionally, there were a few who survived with serious injuries, but they were all captured by the disciples of the Changsun sect. In the sky, only Yun Batian and Yin Kuei were still resisting the eternal sword Qi and purple heavenly lightning. Seeing that the He Huan sect and the demonic palace were annihilated, their eyes turned bloodshot. Ling Xiao, I'll capture you and make you beg for death. Little bastard, I'm going to kill you. Yun Batian and Yin Kuei roared as if they had gone mad. They looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of hatred. Is that so? Both of you can't even protect yourselves. Where did you get the courage to kill me? Ling Xiao sneered. With the evil-slaying ancient sword in his hand and the purple heavenly lightning dragon under his feet, he flew towards the two of them. The ancient sword was snow-white and emitted a cold light. Ling Xiao's aura rose to the maximum. His blood qi surged and filled the air, locking Yun Batian and Yin Kuei in place. Yun Batian and Yin Kuei suddenly laughed. Ling Xiao, do you know why we destroyed the Changsun sect? Chapter 79. What's the reason? Ling Xiao frowned, sensing that something was wrong with the two men before him. It's not just because you're so talented that our two sects feel threatened. The more important reason is that someone wants to destroy the Changsun sect. Yun Batian laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha. Ling Xiao, wait for your death. Just then, Yun Batian and Yin Kuei spat out a mouthful of blood at the same time. The blood flashed and gathered in the air, forming the shadow of a ferocious beast. Elder Kunsh, please. The two of them roared, their eyes filled with fanaticism. Kunsh. Ling Xiao's expression changed. He could sense a dangerous aura heading towards the Changsun sect at an extremely fast speed. Without hesitation, the purple heaven lightning dragon beneath his feet moved and retreated rapidly. Boom! Suddenly, a massive, sky-surging hand descended from the sky, containing a ferocious and sky-surging malevolent energy. Instantly, the longevity sword beam and purple sky divine lightning were reduced to nothingness. A figure stepped through the void and stood in the sky above the longevity mountain. He looked down with an indifferent expression. It was an old man with white hair. He wore a black robe, embroidered with a ferocious beast that could devour the sun and devour the sky. He exuded an aura that shook the heavens. His eyes were especially cold. When they landed on people, it was as if they could see through their souls, causing everyone's expression to change drastically. Celestial Realm. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of seriousness as he slowly spat out 3 words. The Grandmaster Realm was just the beginning to understand the power of heaven and earth, the connection between heaven and man, and the power of heaven and earth. The next step was to become one with heaven and man, where one spirit would merge with heaven and earth, mobilizing the power of heaven and earth. One could fly in the air, ride on clouds, and even spit out lightning, evolving into wind, fire, and thunder. It was terrifying. Therefore, experts in the celestial realm were also known as immortals. Every celestial realm expert had comprehended their realm to perfection, evolving their own profound martial arts. Every move they made had inhuman strength. Who would have thought that a celestial realm expert would appear in the Changsun sect? Ling Xiao's words caused Nangong Xian, the great elder, and the others' expressions to change drastically. A trace of fear appeared in their eyes. Elder Kun, he is Ling Xiao, the holy son of the longevity sect. He is able to activate the complete longevity god sealing great formation. We suspect that he should know what you want. After Yun Batian and Yin Kuei broke free from the immortality god seal formation, they were overjoyed. They ran towards Kun Shi and bowed respectfully. Trash, you can't even handle such a small matter. Kun Shi coldly shouted as his indifferent gaze fell on the two of them. Elder Kun, please spare us. We were already on the verge of destroying the longevity sect. However, this kid, Ling Xiao, is too strange. He can actually mobilize the power of the great longevity god seal array. Yun Batian and Yin Kuei's faces were filled with terror as they hurriedly kowtowed. Who are you? Ling Xiao stood on the purple cloud lightning dragon, facing Kun Shi from afar and said coldly. Who am I? You bunch of ants don't deserve to know. Kid, you can actually mobilize the power of the Immortality God Seal Array. You really do have a secret. Are you going to surrender or wait for me to make a move? Kun Shi sneered as he stared at Ling Xiao as if he was staring at his prey. Ant? You're just a celestial being. You're not a noble nor an emperor. What's there to be arrogant about? You're just an old dog from the Wan Shou sect. How dare you show off in front of the longevity sect? Ling Xiao sneered as he stared at Kun Shi. He did not back down at all. Kid, you know who I am. Looks like I can't let you live today. Everyone in the longevity sect will be buried with you. Kun Shi was shocked. Clearly, he did not expect Ling Xiao to have guessed his identity. He was instantly filled with killing intent. Wan Shou sect? The Wan Shou sect that broke into the Longevity Mountain 500 years ago. Is it also the holy land of martial arts, the Wan Shou sect? The first elder seemed to have thought of something. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. He once read about it in the sect's records. The longevity sect 500 years ago was not as weak as it was now. They even had a few celestial beings. It was because the Wan Shou sect invaded the longevity sect 500 years ago and a bloody battle broke out. After that, the longevity sect's legacy was cut off and they slowly declined. Who would have thought that they would meet someone from the Wan Shou sect again? They were the legendary celestial beings. They could travel in the air and had unfathomable power. How could the longevity sect defend against them? The first elder and Nangong Xian looked at each other and felt helpless. Was the longevity sect's legacy really going to be cut off in their hands? However, they did not know why, but when they saw the young man standing on the purple cloud lightning dragon in the sky, a glimmer of hope appeared in their hearts. Kill me. Do you believe that I can decapitate you immediately and kill you without a burial place? Ling Xiao sneered as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Kill me without a burial place. Ha ha ha. Kid, I think you're scared out of your wits. It's just the immortal god sealing formation. If it was at its peak, I would naturally retreat. But now, it can't even kill a master of the Grandmaster realm. Do you think it can deal with me just by itself? Kun Shi laughed and his eyes were filled with mockery. You can try if you don't believe me. Ling Xiao said indifferently and his expression was extremely calm. Kid, don't bluff. If I want you dead, no one in the great wilderness ancient country can save you. Come over here. Kun Shi sneered and then grabbed the air. It was as if the entire world was in his palm. Light flashed in the sky and turned into a giant genuine chi hand that grabbed at Ling Xiao. This grab shook the sky and an extremely cold killing intent spread out as if it could shatter the world. Longevity sword chi, purple cloud lightning, explode. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light. The dazzling sword chi and heavenly thunder of purple clouds exploded once again. Then, they poured down towards the Kun snake at the same time. When they collided, an earth-shattering torrent erupted. Weak, you're still too weak. Kun Shi sneered and turned his grab into a palm. He slapped down and in an instant, the world was turned upside down. The torrent that was filled with killing intent and destructive aura was smashed into nothingness by Kun Shi's palm. Kid, let's see what else you can do. Kun Shi walked over casually and there was no trace of smoke or fire under his feet. He approached Ling Xiao with a mocking look on his face. However, Ling Xiao looked as if he was really frightened. His face was filled with horror as he stepped on the thunder dragon and flew down quickly. Kun Shi, if you dare to touch the longevity sect, the founder of the longevity sect will not let you off. Ling Xiao roared at Kun Shi as he flew towards the longevity square below. Many of the longevity sect's disciples were also shocked by Kun Shi's attack. A celestial realm expert. That was a realm that they didn't even dare to imagine. Legend had it that the king of the Great Desolation ancient country was a celestial realm expert. If such a peerless expert wanted to destroy the longevity sect, who could stop him? The disciples felt as if they had risen from hell to heaven and from heaven to hell. Their eyes were filled with despair. Chapter 80. Sky Devourer Supreme and Longevity Supreme. If it was 10,000 years ago when the longevity sect ruled the world, no one would dare to touch you. However, it's not 10,000 years ago now. 2 stone statues won't be able to protect you. She strolled leisurely and landed on the longevity square as well. He looked at the 2 divine statues in the center of the square and a cold smile appeared on his face. Is that so? Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a strange look. Boom! A drop of golden blood rolled down from Ling Zhao's fingertip, instantly turning into a golden glow in the air. With a point of his finger, a golden rune flashed and disappeared. Ling Zhao formed a seal with his hands and muttered something. A mysterious and ancient fluctuation spread out. Kuan Shi's expression changed. Suddenly, he felt a faint threat. This was the intuition of a celestial being. Although he did not know what could threaten a celestial being in this small longevity sect, Kuan Shi still leaped up and flew towards the void. You're only leaving now. It's too late. Ling Zhao said coldly. Golden light seemed to shoot out from his eyes. Boom! An earth-shattering sound was heard. The sky trembled and the earth shook. The sun, moon, and stars seemed to be falling. The Sky Devourer Supreme statue in the Longevity Square came alive. That's right, it came alive. The statue emitted a golden glow, and a domineering, ancient, and majestic aura burst out. The statue opened its eyes and looked at the Kuan snake coldly, as if it was looking at an ant. What? Kuan Shi was scared out of his wits and felt his scalp go numb. He felt a strong sense of threat from the statue. Without hesitation, he flew into the sky. But at this moment, a giant hand slapped across the sky. Monstrous divine power flooded the sky like an endless wave. It seemed to move very slowly, but Kuan Shi was unable to fly out of the range of the palm's attack. Kuan Shi's body glowed and a giant snake head emerged from his body. Its eyes were blood red and looked ferocious. It spat out a black divine light from its mouth and collided with the giant hand. Boom! The black divine light fell on the giant hand and melted like snow. The giant hand slapped the head of the snake, turning it into a bloody mist. Ah, my sun-devouring bash! Longevity sect, this old man will fight to the death with you. Kuan Shi spat out a mouthful of blood, as if he had suffered a great backlash. He looked at Ling Zhao with hatred, and at the same time, he escaped from the range of the palm and flew away rapidly. A companion spirit beast? I didn't expect it to be an ancient mutant. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. That huge snake head should be the Kuan snake's companion spirit beast. With its companion spirit beast killed, the Kuan snake naturally suffered a huge backlash. Fortunately, his companion spirit beast had taken the hit for him. Otherwise, Kuan Shi would have died without a doubt. Seeing that Kuan Shi was about to escape, Ling Zhao's expression remained unchanged. His eyes revealed a hint of mockery. Whoosh! Black and white light flashed in the eyes of the sky-devouring Supreme God statue. In an instant, it turned into a black and white sword radiance. It cut across the void and was extremely dazzling. No one could see the speed of the sword and no one could describe the style of the sword. Everyone only saw the sword radiance flash and Kuan Shi's head was separated from his body. He didn't even have time to scream before he fell from the void. Oh no, run! At this moment, Yun Batian and Yin Kuei finally woke up from their shocked state. Their faces were full of fear. Even a heavenly being had been killed. What was the point of them staying here? Without hesitation, the 2 of them rushed down Longevity Mountain. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and 2 more sword radiances shot out from the statue's eyes, killing Yun Batian and Yin Kuei directly. At this point, everyone from Hehuan's sect and demonic palace had been killed. In addition, there was also a heavenly being elder from the Myriad Beasts sect. At the peak of Longevity Mountain, corpses were strewn everywhere and blood flowed like a river. It was like hell on earth, filled with the thick stench of blood. At this moment, everyone from Changsun's sect was dumbfounded. A heavenly being realm elite died just like that? The arrival of Kun Shi gave them too much pressure. That kind of demeanor of flying through the air and destroying the protective formation with a flick of his finger was like that of an immortal. It made everyone feel powerless. Even Nangong Xian almost believed that the Changsun sect was doomed. Who would have thought that the statue of the sky-devouring supreme god ancestor would come to life at this crucial moment and kill Kun Shi? Could it really be the ancestor's spirit? A large number of longevity sect disciples even knelt down in front of the sky-devouring supreme god statue respectfully and sincerely. As for Nangong Xian, the great elder and the rest, their gazes landed on Ling Shao. They knew that the strange movement of the sky-devouring supreme god statue must have something to do with this young man. But no matter what, everyone knew that after this battle, the longevity sect would be the strongest sect within 1,000 miles radius. Most of the elites from Hehuan sect and demonic palace were killed, and the remaining small fries would not be able to do much. Nangong Xian decisively ordered a group of disciples to clean up the longevity mountain while the great elder led the rest to Hehuan sect and demonic palace. They had to eliminate the root of the problem and not leave behind any future troubles. Furthermore, Hehuan sect and demonic palace were old sects that had been around for hundreds of years. The treasures and resources of these two sects naturally had to be taken back. Ling Shao did not make a move. After his interrogation, he already knew that the Hehuan sect and the demonic palace had sent out all their forces this time. All of their master-level experts had died at the longevity mountain. There were only a few big cats in the sect, and the strongest was only an elder in the dragon tiger realm. The great elder could easily wipe them out. Ling Shao took the storage bags of Kun Shi, Yun Batian and Yin Kuei without hesitation. Then, he shot out a chaos golden lotus flame and burned the 3 corpses into ashes. The death of an elder from one Shou sect in longevity sect was definitely an earth-shattering matter. If one Shou sect knew about it, longevity sect would be in danger. However, Ling Shao guessed that Kun Shi must have secretly come to longevity sect. One Shou sect should not know about it. After all, this was the territory of the Great Desolation Ancient Country. Even if the Great Desolation Ancient Country was not as strong as one Shou sect would not dare to casually cross the border. Nangong Xian also knew the severity of this matter and also gave a gag order. No disciple was allowed to speak of today's matter. Otherwise, they would be punished for betraying the sect. When Ling Shao brought Nangong Qing down from the sky, the lightning dragon beneath their feet slowly dissipated. Nangong Qing couldn't help but blush when she saw the meaningful look in Nangong Xian's eyes. Chapter 81. Sect Leader, I know you have many doubts in your heart. If I told you that I was able to activate the Longevity God's Sealing Array and activate the Heaven-Devouring Supreme Statue because the Heaven-Devouring Supreme Ancestor thought highly of me and gave me his legacy, would you believe me? Ling Shao chuckled and said casually. I believe you. Nangong Xian nodded solemnly. Ling Shao was stunned. He did not expect Nangong Xian to believe his random excuse. You were able to find the long-lost Longevity Supreme Scripture, activate the Longevity God's Sealing Array, and even activate the Heaven-Devouring Supreme Statue. These are things that even the previous sect leaders and I could not do. But you did it. Other than the fact that you have the legacy of the Heaven-Devouring Supreme Ancestor, how else can you explain it? Nangong Xian said slowly, with a trace of excitement in his eyes. And I know about your life. Although you are the son of the Demon King, you did not inherit his martial talent. Your talent is extremely poor, and you could not even reach the first level of the channel opening realm before the age of 15. But after you were injured by Ling Kun and woke up, you began to show your exceptional talent. More importantly, the Heaven-Devouring Supreme Ancestor's real name is Ling Shao. And according to my guess, the Ling family of the Demon King is the descendant of the Heaven-Devouring Supreme. You have the blood of the Heaven-Devouring Supreme Ancestor flowing in your body. It is only natural that he chose you as his successor. Ling Xiao was stunned, and a strange smile appeared on his face. He was still worrying about how to explain everything that happened to him. He did not expect Nangong Xian to find an excuse for him. But what the hell was the blood of the heaven-devouring supreme? 10,000 years ago, Ling Xiao and Jin Se were innocent. Yes, although they had a few intimate interactions, Ling Xiao swore to the heavens that Jin Se did not leave him any children. However, although Ling Xiao did not have any children 10,000 years ago, he still had the Ling family behind him. Could it be that the Ling family had been passed down until now? Back then, Ling Xiao was ambushed and killed by the true Dragon Supreme. Ling Xiao knew that with the true dragon's nature, he would definitely destroy the longevity sect and the Ling family. However, it was also possible that the supreme true dragon was also heavily injured. In addition, Jin Se was present at that time, so the longevity sect and the Ling family were able to survive. Ling Xiao, since you've received the inheritance of the sky-devouring supreme ancestor, you're his disciple. In terms of seniority, you're probably the ancestor of the longevity sect. However, to prevent your identity from being exposed, why don't we announce to the public that you're my disciple? We'll be brothers in the future. How about that? Nangong Xian suddenly thought of something and looked at Ling Xiao cautiously. I don't agree. Before Ling Xiao could say anything, Nangong Qing hurriedly objected. Why do you disagree? Nangong Xian and Ling Xiao looked at Nangong Qing in surprise. Did they need Nangong Qing's consent? Nangong Qing's face turned red as she scolded herself in her heart. She didn't know what was wrong with her, she was too unreserved. However, he definitely could not give in on this matter. If Ling Xiao called Nangong Xian senior brother, wouldn't he have to call Ling Xiao senior uncle? Definitely not. Nangong Qing said seriously, Father, Ling Xiao is the son of Demon King Zhen. Although he was only an outer disciple when he entered our longevity sect, he was still taught by an outer sect elder. If you accept a disciple on behalf of your master, wouldn't you be lacking in seniority? Ling Xiao is already in the limelight. If you accept him on behalf of your master, it's inevitable that people will think of something. Moreover, the position of the Holy Son can only be held by the young sect leader. If Ling Xiao becomes your junior brother, he won't be able to be the Holy Son anymore. Therefore, your idea is not suitable at all. Ling Xiao nodded. Nangong Qing's idea sounded reasonable, but it was also a little unreasonable. However, Ling Xiao didn't want to be in the limelight. He said, Qing is right. I'll just be the Holy Son. That's more suitable for my low-profile temperament. Nangong Xian and Nangong Qing couldn't help but roll their eyes. Low profile? If you could keep a low profile, Huan's sect and demonic palace wouldn't have been played to death by you so quickly. However, Ling Xiao's Qing still made Nangong Qing blush slightly. Alright, since that's the case, Ling Xiao will still be the Holy Son of our Changsun sect. Nangong Xian looked at Nangong Qing meaningfully until her face and ears turned red. Then, he laughed and turned to leave. However, this made Ling Xiao somewhat baffled. In a mountain range tens of thousands of miles away from the Changsun sect, the mountains were so tall that they pierced through the clouds. Ancient trees towered in the mountain range. Countless powerful beasts roamed about, their roars shaking the heavens and earth. On a huge mountain peak that looked like a beast was lying down, there were many palaces. Clouds drifted in the air, and there were many rare beasts flying in the air. In the mountain peak, there were some special places where huge beasts were reared. Their roars shook the mountain range, and they emitted violent killing intent. In an ancient hall, there were countless balls of light floating in the air. Within each ball of light, there was a jade token. At this moment, a ball of light near the top suddenly exploded. A child who was dozing off jumped up in shock. He grabbed the jade pendant in the ball of light. There were already a few cracks on the jade pendant, and the light was incomparably dim. When he saw the name on the jade pendant, he was so frightened that his complexion changed greatly. He rolled and crawled out of the hall. The child ran to the largest hall of 10,000 beasts at the top of the mountain, panting. He knelt down with a thud. Sect Master, this is bad. This is bad. Elder Kun Shi's life token is broken. The child knelt down in the palace and said in fear. He didn't dare to look at the person above him. Above the hall of 10,000 beasts, there was a misty fog and light. There seemed to be a mysterious figure sitting there, emitting an aura that made the heavens and earth tremble. Hearing this, the fog above him dispersed a little. A pair of cold eyes revealed itself, shooting out 2 rays of divine light that landed on the child. Instantly, the child was drenched in sweat. He felt as though he was suffocating, and his face was extremely pale. Whoosh! He waved his hand, and the life token flew into the light. The soul dissipated in the east. In the east, is it the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom or the Sun Moon Star sect? Only they can kill Kun Shi. However, no matter who it is, anyone who dares to kill the people of the Wan Shou sect must die. The cold and majestic voice rumbled like thunder, causing the entire hall of 10,000 beasts to buzz. Pass down my order. The left guardian is to head to the Sun Moon Star sect, and the right guardian is to head to the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom. We must find the real culprit who killed Kun Shi and wipe out his entire family. As the dignified voice rang out, a powerful force swept the Daoist child out of the myriad beast hall. It also closed the 2 huge stone doors along the way. Yes, Sect Master. Chapter 82. Longevity Sect. It had been 3 days since the bloody battle, but the entire Longevity Sect had a new atmosphere. Due to the appearance of the traitor Lin Shan, the Longevity Sect suffered heavy casualties. In the battle with the All-Pleasure Sect and Demonic Palace, almost 1/3 of their disciples died. More than 10 elders of the Dragon Tiger realm died in battle. It could be said that the Longevity Sect suffered heavy losses. However, at the last moment of the Longevity Sect's survival, Ling Xiao rode on a dragon and killed many experts of the All-Pleasure Sect and Demonic Palace with the Purple Heaven Godly Lightning and Longevity Sword Chi. He even activated the Sky-Devouring Supreme God statue and killed Yun Batian and Yin Kuei, the 2 sect leaders, as well as a Heaven Realm expert. Ling Xiao's peerless demeanor was deeply imprinted in the hearts of every Longevity Sect disciple. When all the disciples looked in the direction of the Brocade Pavilion, their eyes were filled with fanaticism and worship. After experiencing this bloody battle, the remaining disciples felt a stronger sense of belonging to the Longevity Sect. Moreover, they were more united. Every disciple seemed to have undergone a metamorphosis as they broke through their bottlenecks and stepped into a higher realm. In 3 days, the bloody stench in the Longevity Mountain dissipated. The entire Longevity Mountain was illuminated by the resplendent sunlight, and the sound of many disciples cultivating could be heard. Especially the Longevity Square, which had become the sacred ground of the Longevity Sect. Countless disciples gathered under the Sky-Devouring Supreme God statue and bowed respectfully. Then, they began to cultivate in anticipation of receiving guidance from the Patriarch. This bloody battle caused the entire Longevity Sect to be like a phoenix that was born from the flames. They began to soar. In the Brocade Pavilion, Xue Wei sat cross-legged. Her body was graceful, and her body emitted dense 9 nether-cold qi. Her small face was pale, and the aura on her body was getting stronger. A stream of Xianhuang qi flowed through Xue Wei's body and finally exploded in her qi sea. It was like endless lightning, exploding with a strange scene of heaven and earth splitting. Rumble. Xue Wei's qi sea slowly strengthened and expanded bit by bit. 500 feet. 510 feet. 520 feet, Ling Xiao stood beside Xue Wei, and his powerful mental energy spread out. He was watching the changes in Xue Wei's body without blinking. Ling Xiao gave Xue Wei a Xian Mu Dan. Although Xue Wei had already opened up her Dantian, but the Xian Mu Dan still had a strong effect on her, which allowed her to slowly expand her 490 feet Dantian. The mysterious yellow mother qi filled the air, and strange lightning flashed. In the end, Shui Wei's Sea of Qi only stopped expanding after reaching 981 feet. There was no way for it to expand any further. Ling Xiao knew that this was already Shui Wei's limit. After all, she didn't possess the ninth hell scripture now, so she was unable to fully utilize her ninth hell bloodline to its limits. A Sea of Qi of 810 feet was a realm that made countless geniuses shrink back at the sight of. After all, it was too difficult to achieve a Sea of Qi of 99 zhang or even a perfect 100 zhang like Ling Xiao. Whoosh! Shui Wei exhaled lightly and opened her eyes. Her cultivation had already reached the third stage of the true energy realm. Young master, did I succeed? Shui Wei blinked her big clear eyes and asked nervously. Success. Our family's Shui Wei is so powerful, who knows how many times stronger than those legendary geniuses. Ling Xiao said with a smile. At the same time, he praised in his heart. Shui Wei indeed had the ninth hell bloodline. This terrifying speed of improvement made him feel a little ashamed. This was under the condition that Shui Wei hadn't obtained the ninth hell scripture. If Shui Wei had cultivated the ninth hell scripture, her speed would probably be even more terrifying. Yes, I must cultivate well so that I can help young master beat up bad people in the future. Shui Wei raised her tender little fist and said resolutely. Shui Wei is so obedient. Ling Xiao said as he rubbed Shui Wei's little head dotingly. Shui Wei was only 13 or 14 years old now. Ling Xiao was full of tender love for her, as if she was his biological sister. After all, in Ling Xiao's memory, the Ling family was cold and heartless. Out of all the people who truly treated him wholeheartedly, only this little girl was in front of him. Especially after arriving at the Changsun sect, Shui Wei had suffered a lot. However, this stubborn little girl had endured it all by herself, unwilling to let Ling Xiao suffer even a little bit. A gust of fragrant wind blew and Lu Piapiao entered the room. Ling Xiao, sect leader Nangong wants you to go to the longevity hall. It seems that the great elder has returned. The Hehuan sect and the demonic palace have completely disappeared. Lu Piapiao said casually. The great elder is back. Ling Xiao nodded. It seemed like there were no accidents on this trip. Your mental strength has already reached the peak of the lower elixir refinement master. Are you going to break through soon? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and landed on Lu Piapiao. How can it be so easy to break through? I feel that I won't be able to break through without a year or so. After all, it's too difficult to raise one's mental strength. Perhaps when I break through to the Dragon Tiger realm, I can try to break through to the middle elixir refinement master. Lu Piapiao said with a bitter smile. That's not necessarily true. Be my maidservant and be obedient. When I return, I will teach you a secret skill that can raise your mental strength. Ling Xiao pinched Lu Piapiao's delicate little face and walked out with a laugh. Annoying. Lu Piapiao was so angry that she stomped her feet and her face turned red. Ling Xiao made his way to the longevity hall. Along the way, the longevity sect disciples he met all looked at him with admiration and respect as they bowed to him respectfully. Ling Xiao responded with a smile and did not put on any airs. Some of the female disciples were so excited that their faces turned red and their eyes shone. Unknowingly, Ling Xiao had subdued the hearts of all the disciples and established a higher prestige than Nangong Xian. In Longevity Hall, Nangong Xian, the Great Elder, Deng Tianda, and many other elders were present. Saint is here. Ha ha ha. Saint, come and take a look. These are all the treasures and resources that we obtained from Hehuan sect and demonic palace. Saint, take a look and see if there's anything that you can use. Seeing Ling Xiao enter, the Great Elder said with a smile. In Longevity Hall, there were more than a dozen storage bags, some dazzling spiritual equipment, fragrant spiritual elixirs, various refining materials, spiritual herbs, and spiritual stones. Ling Xiao used his mental strength to check and found that Hehuan sect and demonic palace were indeed rich. They were indeed worthy of being old sects with hundreds of years of history. There were more than 50 million upper-grade spiritual stones and 1 million supreme-grade spiritual stones. There were more than 100 spiritual equipment, countless spiritual elixirs, spiritual herbs, and refining materials. They filled almost half of Longevity Hall. Nangong Xian, Deng Tianda, and the other elders were all excited. They were like beggars who had seen countless treasures. They couldn't stop grinning from ear to ear. There was no choice. The longevity sect was too poor. Chapter 83. It was already very difficult for the Changsun sect to maintain its operations. They were only relying on a single spiritual stone mine and a few other businesses in the Changsun sect. Even the disciples of the Changsun sect were extremely poor. Even the true disciples did not have a spiritual weapon each. It was obvious that the Changsun sect was in dire straits. One had to know that 10,000 years ago, even the servants of the Changsun sect used spiritual weapons. They would not even look at a spiritual weapon on the side of the road. Nangong Xian was naturally overjoyed to suddenly obtain such a large sum of wealth. Sect leader, Grand Elder, isn't it just some spiritual stones and cultivation resources? We don't even have a single spiritual crystal. Hehuan sect and demonic palace are not much better off than beggars. Is there a need to be so excited? Ling Shao rolled his eyes and said. Ling Shao, you don't know the value of resources until you're in charge. Our Changsun sect can't even take out 1 million high-grade spiritual stones. What do you think these resources mean to us? It means that we can raise the cultivation of all the disciples of the Changsun sect. How can I not be excited? Nangong Xian laughed bitterly. Sect leader, the Changsun sect is in such a state. If our ancestors knew about this, they would jump out of their coffins and scold you. Alright, I know it's not easy for you. These are Yun Batian and Yin Kuei's private stash. Take it as me being generous and giving it to the sect. Ling Shao smiled and took out Yun Batian and Yin Kuei's storage bags and threw them to Nangong Xian. Yun Batian and Yin Kuei were both evolved Jing masters and the sect leaders of their respective sects, so they had quite a lot of treasures. Ling Shao took a quick look and found that the amount of spirit stones, spirit pellets, and weapons was even more than what the head elder had plundered from the two sections. As expected, Nangong Xian and the other elders were excited when they saw the items in the two storage bags. Saint, are you really not going to pick anything? You've done a great job this time. Even if you take everything, the sect leader won't say anything. But, he'll be heartbroken for a long time. Ha ha ha. Deng Tianda, that old fellow, seemed to have forgotten about the conflict between him and Ling Shao. He also came forward with a smile. Forget it, these things are really useless to me. Something's wrong, Ling Shao waved his hand and said casually. However, when his gaze fell on a piece of black wood, his expression changed slightly. Ling Shao quickly walked over and picked up the piece of black wood. The piece of black wood was only the size of a human head. The reason why Ling Shao had discovered this piece of black wood was because the wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness had trembled slightly when he had scanned it with his mental strength. I almost misjudged you. Ling Shao was very excited. He recognized the origin of this piece of wood. Ironwood was a type of spirit wood, and it was also a material for refining tools. It could be used to refine tools. A 100-year ironwood could be used to refine spirit tools, a 1,000-year ironwood could be used to refine treasures, and a 10,000-year ironwood could even be used to refine Dao tools. The piece of ironwood in Ling Zhao's hand was the core of a 10,000-year-old ironwood. It contained an incomparably pure wood attribute spiritual energy. It could be considered a top-grade wood attribute spiritual seed. Ling Zhao had obtained another one of the 5 elements spiritual seeds. He was only left with the metal attribute spiritual seed. Ling Zhao put away the core of the 10,000-year-old ironwood without hesitation. He was in a good mood. Nangong Xian, the first elder, and the rest knew that Ling Xiao must have obtained a good treasure. However, they didn't ask. Today, since everyone is here, I have something to tell you. Ling Xiao's gaze flickered, and his expression became solemn. Do you know who left the cave abode in the spiritual stone mine? Cave abode? The eyes of Nangong Xian, the first elder, and the rest flashed. They already knew that Ling Xiao had entered the cave abode and obtained a fortuitous encounter. Now that they heard Ling Xiao's words, could it be that the cave abode had a significant history? Could it be left behind by a senior of our Changsun sect? Nangong Xian's eyes flashed. He seemed to have thought of something and asked hurriedly. That's right. It was left behind by a senior of our Changsun sect. That senior had a significant history. He was the sect leader of the Changsun sect 500 years ago, Sage Tianfeng. Ling Xiao said slowly. Sage Tianfeng? It's him. The great elder exclaimed, his eyes revealing a trace of shock. He saw that Nangong Xian and Deng Tianda were looking at him in confusion. Obviously, they had never heard of Sage Tianfeng's name. I also saw it in an ancient record. Sage Tianfeng was indeed the sect leader of the Changsun sect 500 years ago. He was a peerless genius of his generation. He broke through to the celestial realm at the age of 30 and took over the Changsun sect. At 40, he reached level 9 of the celestial realm and was only a hair's breadth away from the noble realm. Moreover, his martial arts were earth-shattering. Under his leadership, the Changsun sect was on the road to prosperity 500 years ago. However, later on, the Changsun sect seemed to have provoked a strong enemy and met with a calamity. The entire Changsun sect was almost annihilated. It was said that Sage Tianfeng had fallen as well. I didn't expect him to leave a cave abode in the spiritual stone mine. The first elder said with a sigh. A 30-year-old celestial realm warrior. Indeed, he can be considered a peerless genius. Ling Xiao nodded. After becoming one with the world and entering the celestial realm, not only would one's cultivation be unparalleled, one would also have a lifespan of 500 years. This was the path that countless masters pursued. After all, even a master could not live past 200 years old. The path of martial arts was not only about revenge or strength. More importantly, it was the exploration of the world and the desire to live as long as the heavens. However, many masters in the celestial realm might not even be able to touch the celestial realm when they were 100 years old. A 30-year-old celestial realm warrior was indeed impressive. What kind of strong enemy did our Changsun sect encounter 500 years ago? Even Sage Tianfeng could not withstand it. Could it be a legendary master of the noble realm? Nangong Xian frowned slightly. His eyes revealed a hint of seriousness. I'm afraid none of you can imagine that the strong enemy we encountered 500 years ago was the Wanshou sect, the holy land of martial arts. Chapter 84. What? The biggest enemy of our longevity sect 500 years ago was the Wanshou sect? Everyone's expression changed as their gazes turned serious. The name Wanshou sect was like a huge mountain pressing down on everyone's heart, making it hard for the elders to breathe. The 8 Desolation region's holy land of martial Tao was even more powerful than the Great Desolation ancient kingdom. Any random elder Kun Shi from the sect was a heaven realm expert. Such a holy land of martial Tao was the archenemy of the longevity sect. Naturally, the elders felt uneasy. 5,000 years ago, Daoist Tianfeng led the longevity sect to rise to power, causing the Wanshou sect to feel threatened. Furthermore, the Wanshou sect coveted the longevity supreme scripture of our longevity sect, so they ruthlessly launched a sect annihilation war. How ruthless! Nangong Xian's eyes flashed coldly as he spoke slowly. If that's the case, then the reason why Kun Shi ordered the Hehuan sect and Sky Demon Palace to attack the longevity sect was probably because he wanted something from our longevity sect. The first elder said slowly. The Wanshou sect is too much. There's nothing we can do about it. The Wanshou sect is too strong. If it wasn't for the devouring heaven ancestors statue that killed Kuan Shi, I'm afraid Kuan Shi alone could have destroyed our longevity sect. What should we do now? Kuan Shi died in the longevity sect. If the Wan Shou sect finds out, all of us will die. Many of the elders in the hall began to panic as they started to discuss among themselves. The Wan Shou sect's reputation was too strong. Compared to the Wan Shou sect, the longevity sect was like a small shrimp that could be crushed easily. These elders were naturally afraid. What are you panicking for? Ling Shao bellowed. His imposing gaze swept across the crowd, instantly suppressing everyone's voices. It's just the Wan Shou sect, what's there to be afraid of? Although our longevity sect is not as strong as it was 10,000 years ago, our longevity sect has been passed down for 10,000 years. How can the Wan Shou sect compare to us? These are the martial arts manuals left behind by Taoist Tianfeng. As long as you cultivate well, the heaven realm is nothing. The day will come when all of you break through into the noble realm, the monarch realm, or even the exalt realm. At that time, a mere myriad beasts sect will be able to crush you with ease. Ling Shao waved his hand and over 100 antique secret manuals appeared within the longevity palace. A secret manual left behind by Taoist Tianfeng? Everyone was shocked, and then their eyes lit up. Firmament palm, sweeping leg, cloud ladder, misty sword art, great Vajra palm, Vajra subduing devil fist, 6 yang true art, small formless art, the hundreds of secret manuals dazzled the elders. They were so excited that their bodies trembled. Vajra subduing demon fist. This is an earth-tier peerless martial art. It's an advanced martial art of the lesser Vajra fist. To think that it would really be passed down. There's also the mighty Vajra palm and the 6 yang true art. They are both earth-tier peerless martial arts. Ha! With these martial arts manuals, the rise of our Changsun sect is just around the corner. We are really blessed by our patriarch, minor phaseless method. That's a heaven-tier martial art. It's a supreme secret manual that can lead one to the noble stage. Even the Wan Shou sect doesn't have many heaven-tier martial arts manuals like this, right? We're rich, we're really rich. The elders were all dancing with joy, their eyes filled with excitement. These elders had been tested by the battle between the Hehuan sect and the demonic palace. They were all absolutely loyal to the Changsun sect. Hence, there was nothing to worry about when Ling Shao took out these secret manuals. The appearance of these secret manuals was like a shot in the arm, sweeping away the shadow that had shrouded the Wan Shou sect in everyone's hearts. It gave them a strong sense of confidence. With these secret manuals, the Changsun sect has the ability to go against the Wan Shou sect. As long as everyone works hard to cultivate, what do we have to fear from the Wan Shou sect? Don't worry, Elder Kuan Shi came here secretly. The Wan Shou sect definitely doesn't know. They won't suspect us. Furthermore, with the protection of the sky-devouring patriarch statue, any expert from the Wan Shou sect who comes will die. Your mission now is to work hard to cultivate and recruit talented disciples to strengthen the Changsun sect. Ling Shao looked at Nangong Xian and the elders and said slowly. His voice was filled with confidence. That's right. With the help of the sky-devouring patriarch statue, no matter how many people from the Wan Shou sect come, they will all die. What's there to be afraid of? Sooner or later, we will settle the score with the Wan Shou sect for the destruction of our sect 500 years ago. Thank you, Saint. If it wasn't for you, the Changsun sect would have been destroyed long ago, not to mention restoring the glory of our ancestors. That's right. From now on, my life belongs to the Saint. I believe that if we follow the Saint, the Changsun sect will become stronger and stronger. Many elders chimed in one after another, and the haze in their eyes was swept away. Furthermore, their gazes towards Ling Shao were filled with respect. Everyone, there's no need for that. Everything is for the Changsun sect. Ling Shao smiled and said. In the end, Nangong Xian kept all the martial arts secret manuals and prepared to keep them in the scripture depository. The elders left with confidence, leaving only Nangong Xian, the Great Elder and Ling Xiao in the Longevity Hall. Saint, are we really going to pass these martial arts secret manuals out? I'm afraid that there might be some people with ulterior motives in the sect. The Great Elder said worriedly. That's right. Passing down martial arts secret manuals must be done carefully. We must test the loyalty of the elders and the disciples before passing them down. Nangong Xian calmed down and said slowly. As for how to pass down the martial arts, that's your problem. However, sect leader, the strongest martial arts secret manual is only the lower heaven class lesser phaseless skill. I have the complete inheritance of the sky-devouring patriarch. After I understand the profound meaning of martial arts, not to mention heaven-class martial arts secret manuals, I can even carve out the true meaning of paragon martial arts secret manuals. Ling Xiao smiled and said casually, I'll leave it to you to pass down the martial arts secret manuals. However, after this battle, the hearts of the people can be used. Most of the disciples are loyal to the sect, and there are many talented disciples who have been buried. I'll have to trouble sect leader to make the arrangements. 3 days later, I'll be opening an altar to pass down the martial arts secret manual. Opening an altar to pass down the martial arts secret manual? Nangong Xian and the Great Elder's eyes lit up. Ling Xiao had received the inheritance of the sky-devouring patriarch. Needless to say, his knowledge and understanding of martial arts far surpassed theirs. If he could open an altar to pass down the martial arts secret manual, it would be beneficial to everyone. Nangong Xian and the Great Elder were also looking forward to it. Alright, don't worry. 3 days later, I'll make the arrangements. Nangong Xian nodded in agreement. Ling Xiao threw a large number of spiritual weapons left behind by the heavenly wind sage to Nangong Xian. He then rushed back to the brocade pavilion. After refining the 10,000-year ironwood heart, the sky-devouring spiritual seed was one step closer to perfection. Ling Xiao's cultivation could also improve. Chapter 85. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in Jin's pavilion. Around him, countless high-grade spirit stones had already been used to form a large-scale spirit gathering array, causing the spirit energy around Ling Xiao to be incomparably dense. It was like a fog, and with a casual breath, there would be surging spirit energy flowing into his body. Lu Chuanxiong, Gu Zhong, and Wang Han had completely become Ling Xiao's diehard fans. They consciously guarded outside Jin's pavilion to protect Ling Xiao. A black piece of wood was placed in front of Ling Xiao. The ironwood core was very hard, like a metal stone. It didn't seem to have any spirit chi fluctuations, so most people would only think of it as an ordinary ore. However, Ling Xiao knew that after opening the black piece of wood, the ironwood core was hidden inside. Whoosh! Ling Xiao took a deep breath, and a faint golden brilliance appeared all over his body. Finally, his palm glowed, and an unparalleled sharpness spread out, striking towards the ironwood core. Pa! The black outer skin opened, and a bright green light floated up. The rich life chi filled the entire room. The ironwood core was only the size of a fist, like a green bead. It flickered with a green light, like an ocean of life, and was slightly pulsating. It really is the ironwood core. Looking at its quality, it's definitely not an ordinary ironwood core. It's at least 100,000 years old. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered, revealing a hint of shock. A 100,000-year-old ironwood core could already be called a supreme treasure. It was the same as the 10,000-year-old source chi stone that Ling Xiao encountered. It was a treasure that could be refined into a supreme weapon. No wonder the wordless heavenly book in Ling Xiao's mind reacted when he encountered the ironwood core. Ling Xiao didn't hesitate anymore. He opened his mouth and swallowed. The ironwood core turned into a green stream of light, instantly entering Ling Xiao's mouth. Boom! An extremely dazzling green divine light exploded. Around Ling Xiao's body, there was an endless aura of life that enveloped his entire being. The wood element's spiritual chi was the life chi. The 100,000-year-old ironwood core even had the miraculous ability to bring the dead back to life. If it was refined into an elixir, even the most serious injuries could be healed immediately. Like a dried-up desert, Ling Xiao's body began to greedily devour the green qi of life. The incomparably pure wood elemental spiritual energy flowed through Ling Xiao's meridians and finally gathered in his dantian. Ling Xiao's qi sea was now like an ocean. The dense true qi had turned into droplets of true liquid, containing boundless power. Above his sea of qi, the heaven-devouring spirit seed emitted a tricolored spiritual light. It was crystal clear and there were mysterious runes lingering around it. At this moment, the heaven-devouring spirit seed began to tremble violently as it sensed the power of the 10,000-year ironwood heart. The tricolored spiritual light spun and turned into a huge devouring vortex. Tai Muxin, who had been slowly releasing his energy, suddenly exploded like a bright green lightning. The heaven-devouring spirit seed rotated slowly, and a trace of green spiritual light gradually emerged from it. Boundless wood elemental spiritual energy burst out and Ling Xiao's cultivation base began to slowly increase. Early third level of the spirit transformation realm, mid third level of the spirit transformation realm, late third level of the spirit transformation realm, peak third level of the spirit transformation realm, fourth level of the spirit transformation realm. Under the impact of this pure and boundless energy, the bottleneck of the spirit transformation realm was broken. It was only when Ling Xiao reached the sixth level of the spirit transformation realm that the fluctuations in his body gradually calmed down. The resplendent life energy silently seeped into every particle in Ling Xiao's body, causing his body to become crystal clear. It became even more resplendent and emitted a natural fragrance. This was a transformation of the level of life. Every time the spirit seed was refined, it was a baptism for Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could even faintly feel that when the heaven-devouring spirit seed was completely refined, his body would undergo an unimaginable change. Boom! Just at this moment, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Xiao's sea of knowledge changed. A powerful, ancient, and mysterious energy attacked. It was like the energy of the heavens. It was domineering and mysterious, and it instantly devoured the remaining wood elemental spiritual energy. The entire wordless heavenly book shone brightly. The wordless heavenly book was originally simple and obscure, giving off a dim light like chaos. However, at this moment, it bloomed with millions of rays of light. In the end, about 1% of the wordless heavenly book turned into a resplendent golden color. Golden rays of light bloomed, runes spread out, and a mysterious aura spread out. It was as if something was about to be born from the wordless heavenly book. What is this? Ling Xiao's eyes trembled as he woke up from his cultivation state. At this moment, he also noticed the change in the wordless heavenly book. This was the first time the wordless heavenly book had actively devoured energy. Previously, when Ling Xiao refined the 5 elemental spirit seed, a portion of the spiritual energy would mysteriously disappear. It was very likely that it was devoured by the wordless heavenly book. However, at that time, the wordless heavenly book was passively absorbing the spiritual energy. It wasn't like this time where it was actively devouring the spiritual energy. These parts that are shrouded in golden light are faintly being born from the mysteries of heaven and earth. Could it be some kind of secret technique? Ling Xiao's eyes trembled as he thought of a possibility. There were a total of 108 pages in the wordless heavenly book. Among them, the 14th page was the heaven-devouring secret skill, and the first page was the ancestral dragon secret skill. Now, the entire wordless heavenly book's 9-colored radiance had already dissipated. It looked very ordinary, and its entire body was gray. However, the heaven-devouring secret skill and the ancestral dragon secret skill had both turned into golden pages. Did that mean that when the wordless heavenly book turned completely golden, another secret technique would appear? At the thought of this, Ling Xiao's heart started to become extremely excited. In his previous life, Ling Xiao had obtained an incomplete version of the heaven-devouring secret skill, which allowed him to become the leader of the 10 titled supreme martial artists. He reigned supreme in the world and dominated the world. Supreme Real Dragon had obtained an incomplete version of the ancestral dragon's secret skill, which allowed him to become the second-titled Supreme Martial Artist and the #1 body-tempering emperor. His physical body was invincible, and his fists could shatter the void. His blood energy could shatter the stars, and he dominated the world. Ling Xiao knew how terrifying the heaven-devouring secret skill and the ancestral dragon's secret skill were. Moreover, these two secret techniques seemed to contain the most original energy of heaven and earth. They were extremely powerful and were much more powerful than the Supreme Sutra. Ling Xiao even thought that these secret techniques were left behind by the legendary deities. There were a total of 108 pages in the wordless heavenly book, which meant that there were a total of 108 secret techniques in the wordless heavenly book. Did that mean that as long as the wordless heavenly book devoured enough energy, it would be able to display all 108 secret techniques? At the thought of this, even with Ling Xiao's supreme state of mind, he felt his blood boil. How terrifying and powerful would it be to possess 108 secret techniques? Chapter 86. The wordless heavenly book was definitely an earth-shattering treasure. It was even more frightening than the legendary artifacts. After all, Ling Xiao had never heard of anyone being reborn with the help of a legendary artifact in his previous life. He must not let anyone know that he had the wordless heavenly book. Otherwise, all the supreme martial artists in the God of War continent would hunt him down. It seems like the most precious item in the tomb of the God of War's Scarlet Dragon wasn't the Godhead but the wordless heavenly book. Ling Xiao sighed softly. If the Supreme True Dragon knew that he had lost his most precious treasure, what would his expression be like? However, the wordless heavenly book seemed to be very picky. Even the 4-5 elements spiritual seeds could only fill it with 1% of its energy. It seemed like it wasn't going to be easy to obtain the secret skill. Ling Xiao stood up. His bones and tendons crackled, emitting the roars of dragons and tigers. His blood was boiling, filled with explosive energy. The current Ling Xiao was tall and slender, his skin emitting a jade-like luster. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were as bright as the stars. A faint, unruly smile hung at the corner of his mouth. His entire being emitted a jade-like aura. Ling Xiao was like the center of the world. He was as bright as the sun. Wherever he went, he would be the focus of attention. However, Ling Xiao moved slightly and released the heaven-devouring secret skill. His aura became extremely ordinary. He looked no different from an ordinary person. As his cultivation increased, Ling Xiao's understanding of the heaven-devouring secret skill and the ancestral dragon secret skill deepened. Ling Xiao could feel the terrifying power of these two secret skills. It was simply endless. Ling Xiao's mental strength had also broken through to the realm of a peerless alchemist. He was only a hair's breadth away from becoming a lower alchemist master. The effects of the breakthrough in mental strength were obvious. The surrounding heaven and earth seemed to have changed. In Ling Xiao's eyes, there were colorful lights. For example, the breathing of the grass and trees, the changes of the wind and clouds, the changes of the mountains, and the cultivation of the Changsun sect disciples. Ling Xiao could feel everything clearly. Moreover, the wordless heavenly book seemed to have a special effect on Ling Xiao's spiritual energy. It continuously absorbed the spiritual energy in the surroundings, strengthening Ling Xiao's spiritual energy bit by bit. 10,000 years ago, Ling Xiao's mental strength and the heaven-devouring true qi in his body were unparalleled. However, his physical body was slightly weaker than the Supreme Real Dragon's. Thus, Ling Xiao's battle prowess was extremely strong. He was the leader of the 10 great titled Supremes and the strongest person in the War God continent. However, Ling Xiao still didn't have the confidence to break through to the transcendent realm. When one reached that level, one would understand that it was impossible to break through to the divine realm if one's physical body, genuine qi, and spiritual energy could not reach a perfect balance. If there was even the slightest mistake, he would die in the terrifying world extermination divine tribulation. Thus, in this life, Ling Xiao had a new opportunity. Naturally, he paid more attention to the balance of the three energies, striving to bring it to a state of perfection. The benefits of having a strong spiritual energy were obvious. Needless to say, it could be used to refine weapons and elixirs. More importantly, it allowed Ling Xiao to check his own cultivation base and the smallest flaws. Externally, he could observe the heart of heaven and earth and understand the power of heaven and earth. It would be easier for him to enter a higher realm. The current Ling Xiao seemed to have fallen into this mysterious realm. With the addition of the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao's spiritual energy spread out and enveloped the entire Changsun sect in an instant. He could feel the joy, anger, sorrow, and joy of every disciple of the Changsun sect. He could feel the vibrations of life in the flowers and trees of the Changsun sect. He could feel the nature of the vast sky and vast clouds. He could even feel a vigorous vitality spreading out, causing the fate of the entire Changsun sect to explode like a blazing sun. The concept of luck was illusory to begin with. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao seemed to be able to see the strength of fate. What's that? Ling Xiao's mind jolted. He could feel an extremely pure aura of life behind the Changsun sect. However, it was extremely weak and almost impossible to detect. Almost as soon as Ling Xiao sensed it, the aura began to disappear and Ling Xiao woke up from that mysterious state. Such a dense aura of life, filled with the mysteries of the great Tao of nature. Could it be? Ling Xiao's eyes trembled as a trace of excitement appeared in his eyes. If he guessed correctly, it was definitely an unexpected surprise. Ling Xiao walked out of the Jin's pavilion and saw Lu Chuanxiong, Gu Zhong, and Wang Han outside. Religious son, you broke through again. Lu Chuanxiong's face revealed a trace of surprise. Ling Xiao didn't hide his cultivation. He was at the 6th level of the spirit transformation realm. One had to know that when Ling Xiao entered the Jin's pavilion a few hours ago, he was only at the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm. In just a few hours, he had broken through to the 6th level of the spirit transformation realm. This terrifying speed of improvement made Lu Chuanxiong and the other two secretly click their tongues. However, they seemed to be immune to Ling Xiao's monstrous talent. They could understand everything that happened to Ling Xiao. Not to mention Ling Xiao breaking through 3 small realms in a few hours, they wouldn't be surprised even if Ling Xiao became a Grandmaster realm expert in a few hours. Therefore, they calmed down after being shocked for a moment. Junior brother Lu, do you know what kind of place is behind the mountain? Ling Xiao asked with a faint smile. Behind the mountain? There's nothing behind the mountain. Lu Chuanxiong was slightly taken aback, but he still asked. Yes, religious son. The mountain behind the mountain is a barren valley without any vegetation. It's rugged with rocks and there's no spiritual energy. It's a wasteland. Normally, no disciples would go there. Gu Zhong said in a muffled voice. However, after hearing Ling Xiao's words, Wang Han fell into deep thought and a trace of light appeared in her eyes. Religious son, you want to know the origin of the mountain behind the mountain, right? I've seen it in an ancient book before. Wang Han said slowly. Oh. Continue. Ling Xiao said to Wang Han with a faint smile. Wang Han's pretty face turned red, but she immediately said seriously, it said that the mountain behind the mountain was originally the forbidden area of the Changsun sect. It's a paradise inside, and the spiritual energy is 10 times or even 100 times more than outside. Everyone who could enter the forbidden area was a genius disciple of the sect. However, for some reason, the forbidden area disappeared, and the mountain behind the mountain became a wasteland without a single blade of grass growing. Wang Han recounted what she had seen. The mountain behind the mountain was actually a paradise in the past. That godforsaken place. Lu Chuanxiong and Gu Zhong were slightly taken aback, and their faces were filled with disbelief. Bring me to the mountain behind the mountain. A bright light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he confirmed the guess in his heart. He nodded and said. All right, religious son, please. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.